Hey guys, tonight we're going deep. And I mean deep. 300 feet under the Pacific Ocean in a steel tube designed by someone who apparently hated both comfort and human survival. We're diving into what life was really like aboard a World War II submarine. Forget Das Boot and run silent, run deep. The truth? You'd be begging to surface before they even closed the hatch. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always fascinating to see who's joining us from around the world. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, though I promise it won't compare to the diesel engines we're about to live with. Let's ease into tonight's journey together. They called it the Silent Service, romantic name for what was essentially volunteer imprisonment in a steel sewer pipe. While the army got foxholes and the navy got bunks, submariners got a shared coffin that smelled like a gym sock marinated in diesel fuel and despair. These weren't warriors. They were underwater mole people who forgot what sunlight looked like and considered fresh air a distant memory. Here's a fun fact. Submarine duty was all volunteer. That's right. People actually chose this. While others were drafted into trenches and cockpits, these magnificent madmen raised their hands and said, "You know what? I'd like to fight the war from inside a toilet that can implode." Tonight, you're one of them. A fresh-faced volunteer who thinks submarines are cool, like something out of Jules Verne. You're about to discover that 20,000 leagues under the sea left out the parts about crapping in a bucket, while depth charges try to turn your home into an accordion. So take a deep breath. Enjoy it. It's the last fresh air you'll taste for the next 2 months. Where we're going, oxygen is rationed, personal space is a myth, and the only thing deeper than the ocean is your regret for volunteering. Ready? Of course you're not. Nobody ever was. Let's dive. Congratulations, sailor. You volunteered for submarine duty. While other suckers got drafted, you actually raised your hand and said, "Yes, I'd like to fight the war," from inside a pressurized sausage. The recruiting posters showed brave men conquering the depths. They didn't show those same men crying into their pillows, if they were lucky enough to have pillows, begging for just 5 minutes of fresh air. You stand on the dock, looking at your new home. She's beautiful in the way a weapon is beautiful. All function, no comfort. 300 feet long, 27 feet wide. That's it. That's your entire world for the next 2 months. A fleet submarine, state of the art, which in 1943 means she usually works and only sometimes kills her entire crew. The hatch is your first reality check. It's not a door, it's a hole. A tiny circular hole that you have to thread yourself through like a reluctant thread through the world's worst needle. You're carrying your sea bag, which contains everything you're allowed to own for the next patrol. Spoiler, it's not much. Down the ladder you go and immediately the smell hits you. Oh God, the smell. It's a living thing. A presence that wraps around you like a wet, mouldy blanket. Diesel fuel is the base note, but layered on top is unwashed bodies, rotting food, cigarette smoke, bilge water, battery acid, and something else. Something organic and wrong that you'll later learn is just what happens when 80 men share a space designed for maybe 30. Your eyes water. Your stomach revolts. You want to run back up that ladder, but there's already another new guy coming down behind you. No escape. This is your life now. "Welcome aboard, rookie," says a guy who looks like he hasn't seen sunlight since the Coolidge administration. His skin has that special submarine pallor, part pale, part yellow, part grey, like a corpse that's still technically moving. "I'm Peterson. I'll show you your rack." Your rack. You're expecting a bunk. Maybe small, but still a bunk. What Peterson shows you is a piece of canvas stretched over a metal frame, wedged between two torpedo tubes. Not near the torpedoes, between them. Those 3,000-pound explosive cylinders? Yeah, you're spooning with them. "Hot bunking," Peterson explains, seeing your face. 3 men, 2 bunks. You sleep in shifts." He points to a thin mattress that's seen better decades. "Johnson's in there now. You'll relieve him in 8 hours. Try not to wake him when you crawl in. He gets violent." The compartment is impossibly cramped. You're not claustrophobic, you told yourself during training. That was before you realised you'd be living inside a pipe. The ceiling, overhead, is a maze of pipes, valves and cables. Everything is painted white or grey, like being inside a very depressing cloud. Or a morgue. Probably more like a morgue. You have to turn sideways to pass another sailor in the corridor. And by corridor, I mean the 26-inch wide space between equipment that passes for a hallway. Your shoulders touch both sides. If you were any bigger, you'd have to walk sideways permanently. Some of the heftier guys do. "Where do I put my stuff?" you ask Peterson. He laughs. Actually laughs, like you've told the funniest joke in submarine history. "Your stuff? Kid, you get 1 small locker, about the size of a shoebox. The rest stays in your sea bag, which goes somewhere. You'll find it eventually. Maybe." The tour continues. Here's the control room, where serious men stare at gauges and pretend they know exactly how deep you can go before the hull crushes like a beer can. Here's the engine room, where it's 120 degrees on a cool day, and Satan himself would complain about the working conditions. Here's the galley, which is also the movie theatre, which is also the operating room if someone gets hurt. Everything has multiple purposes because space is more precious than oxygen. And speaking of oxygen, you notice the air feels thick, used, like breathing through a wet sock. "You'll get used to it," Peterson says. You won't. The crew eyes you with the special disdain reserved for new meat. You're worse than useless right now. You're dangerous. 1 wrong valve turned, 1 procedure forgotten, and you could kill everyone. They know it. You know it. The boat knows it. Yes, the boat. She's alive, creaking and groaning, making sounds that metal shouldn't make. "This is your battle station." Peterson points to a valve. "When General Quarters sounds, you run here and stand ready to turn this if ordered. Turn it wrong, we flood. Don't turn it when ordered, we sink. No pressure." You meet your division chief, a man who looks like he was carved from old leather and spite. He assigns you to the watch rotation. 4 hours on, 4 hours off, forever. No weekends in the submarine service, no holidays, just the endless cycle of watch, work, sleep, maybe, repeat. Your first meal aboard is an education. The mess deck seats maybe 12 guys, for 80. You eat in shifts, wolfing down food while standing because sitting is a luxury reserved for senior ratings. The food is actually good, for now. Fresh vegetables, real meat, even ice cream. Enjoy it while it lasts, someone mutters. By week 3, we'll be eating cardboard and calling it steak. Night doesn't exist on a submarine. Neither does day. There's just the harsh fluorescent lights that never dim, the constant throb of engines, the awareness that millions of tons of water are pressing against the thin steel keeping you alive. You crawl into Johnson's bunk, still warm, still damp with his sweat, and try to sleep. The boat rocks gently at the dock. Tomorrow she'll dive, and you'll leave the world of air and sun behind. For now, you lie between two torpedoes, breathing recycled air, listening to 79 other men snore, fart, and mutter in their sleep. Welcome aboard, sailor. Welcome to your new home. Welcome to hell with a periscope. The lights snap on. Wait, they were never off. The harsh fluorescents burn 24/7 because electricity is life down here, and dark means death. What wakes you is Thompson's foot in your face. He's climbing down from the rack above, and submarine etiquette means using any available surface as a step. Your face qualifies. Morning is a theoretical concept. Your watch says 05:30, but it could be noon or midnight on the surface. Down here, time is what the duty roster says it is. You've been asleep for 3 hours and 45 minutes. 15 minutes short, because Johnson needed his rack back early. You'll get those 15 minutes back never. You swing out of the rack, and by swing, I mean perform a gymnastic contortion that would make a circus performer weep. The space between your bunk and the torpedo is 18 inches. You have to thread yourself out without waking Martinez below you or braining yourself on the maze of pipes above. The deck is cold steel covered in condensation. Everything sweats down here. The pipes, the walls, the men. Moisture is the enemy, but it's everywhere, dripping, pooling, making everything slick and dangerous. You slip, catch yourself on a valve, and get your first yelling of the day from the chief for touching something you shouldn't. Now for the bathroom. Sorry, the head. 1 toilet for every 40 men. You do the math. Actually, don't. It's too depressing. The line stretches down the narrow corridor, men in various states of undress, all with that 1,000-yard stare of someone who really, really needs to pee. While waiting, Peterson fills you in on submarine toilet operation. It's not a toilet, it's a complex machine with more steps than launching a torpedo. First, check the sea pressure gauge. If we're deep, you need to build up air pressure in the sanitary tank. Open valve A, not B. B will flood us. Pump the handle 10 times. Open the bowl flapper. Do your business. Close the flapper. Open valve C while holding down lever D. Pump 20 times to build pressure. Open the C valve, slowly, too fast and you'll get a face full of the Atlantic. Release the pressure. Close everything in reverse order. He's not joking. This is the actual procedure. Get it wrong, and best case, you're covered in sewage. Worst case, you've opened the boat to the sea and everyone drowns. No pressure on your morning constitutional. Your turn finally comes. The head is a closet-sized compartment that makes airplane bathrooms look spacious. The toilet is a medieval torture device of valves and pipes. The instruction placard is worn smooth from desperate reading. You follow the steps, praying to whatever god watches over submarine bowel movements. Success! You've managed to shit without sinking the boat. This passes for victory in submarine life. Next, washing. There's 1 sink in the head. 1. For 80 men. The water is rationed. You get a gallon a day for everything. Drinking, washing, brushing teeth. Choose wisely. Most choose drinking and let hygiene sort itself out. You splash your face with the tepid, oily water that passes for fresh. It tastes like metal and diesel with hints of despair. Your skin already feels greasy, like you've been basted in mechanical lubricant, which you have technically. everything is coated in a thin film of oil from the engines. Brushing teeth is an adventure. The toothpaste tastes wrong. Everything tastes wrong when mixed with diesel fumes. You brush fast, spit carefully, water pressure again, and ignore the guy behind you who's naked except for socks, waiting his turn while scratching himself like a flea-bitten dog. Shower? Oh, that's adorable. Showers are for surface ships, with their luxury of space and water. You get a basin bath once a week if you're lucky. A small bucket, a rag, and the same rationed water everyone else uses. You'll wash the important bits, pits, crotch, face, and call it good. By week 2, everyone smells like a garbage fire anyway, so standards drop. Getting dressed is another gymnastics routine. Your tiny locker contains your uniforms, crammed in so tight they're permanently wrinkled. Everything is damp, always damp. The humidity means nothing ever truly dries. You pull on clothes that feel like they have been marinated in swamp water, because essentially they have. The morning briefing happens in the control room. Officers pretend today will be different from yesterday. It won't be. Same watches, same duties, same recycled air. The captain mentions you'll be diving after breakfast. Your stomach clenches. You've trained for this, but training in a swimming pool didn't include the part where the pool tries to crush you. Breakfast is served in shifts. You're junior, so you eat last, standing up, shoveling food, while the next shift waits impatiently. Powdered eggs that taste like rubber thoughts. Coffee that could strip paint if there was any paint worth stripping. Toast that's somehow both soggy and stale. But here's the thing. This is the good food. Fresh stores, recently loaded. In 2 weeks, you'll dream about these powdered eggs. In a month, you'll fantasize about this coffee. The toast will become a fond memory of when bread didn't taste like diesel fuel. You finish eating, wash your plate in water that's greyer than the eggs, and report to your station. Around you, 79 other men go through the same routine. The boat hums with activity. All of it cramped, all of it dangerous, all of it necessary to keep this steel pipe from becoming a tomb. The diving alarm hasn't sounded yet, but it will. For now, you're still on the surface, still connected to the world of air and light. You can hear waves lapping against the hull. Somewhere above, the sun is shining. People are breathing freely, walking in spaces larger than closets, using toilets without engineering degrees. Must be nice. But this is your world now. Welcome to another beautiful morning in your underwater sewer pipe. Time to earn that hazard pay by existing in a space that actively wants to kill you. The best part? You volunteered for this. The absolute best part? In about 5 minutes, when that diving alarm sounds, you're going to miss these moments on the surface like a lost lover. Because it's all downhill from here, literally. Take a deep breath. Taste it. That's fear, diesel fumes, and the collective body odour of 80 men who haven't properly bathed in weeks. Welcome to submarine air quality, where every breath is a struggle and oxygen is more tightly rationed than your grandmother's wartime sugar. Here's something the recruiting posters forgot to mention. Submarines don't make their own air. Shocking, right? When you're underwater, you're living on whatever oxygen was trapped when the hatch closed, plus whatever the air scrubbers can recycle. It's like being locked in a garage with a running car, except the car is a diesel engine and the garage is trying to crush you. The boat has carbon dioxide scrubbers, fancy word for machines that maybe keep you from suffocating. They use chemicals to pull CO2 from the air, but they're about as reliable as a politician's promise. When they work, you're breathing recycled farts. When they don't, you're slowly poisoning yourself with your own exhalations. Watch the candle, Peterson tells you, pointing to a lit candle in the control room. It's not for ambience. When the flame starts to flicker and die, that's your air quality warning system. High tech, right? If a candle can't survive, neither can you. The flame dances lower by the hour, a visual countdown to suffocation. Smoking is not just allowed, it's encouraged. Seems counterintuitive when air is precious, but nicotine keeps men calm, and calm men don't panic and open hatches at depth. The boat becomes a fumigation chamber. By day 3 submerged, you can't see across the control room through the haze. Your eyes water constantly. Your throat feels like you've been gargling gravel. The smell. Christ, the smell. It's layered, like a parfum designed by Satan. Base note, diesel fuel that permeates everything. Middle note, unwashed bodies and rotting feet. Top note, cigarettes, cooking grease, and toilet failures, special accents, battery acid, hydraulic fluid, and fierce sweat. You can taste the air. It coats your mouth like oil, flavours everything you eat. That coffee, diesel flavoured. That bread, diesel with a hint of mould. That apple from 2 weeks ago, diesel with delusions of fruit. Your taste buds give up and accept their new reality. The engines are the biggest oxygen thieves, those massive diesels that drive you on the surface. They breathe more air than the entire crew. When running, they create a vacuum that makes your ears pop. The boat literally sucks air through a main induction valve, like a drowning man gasping. When that valve closes for diving, the oxygen clock starts ticking. Battery charging is special hell. The batteries that run everything underwater produce hydrogen gas when charging. Hydrogen plus spark equals explosion. So charging means ventilating, which means running on the surface, exposed, vulnerable. The captain has to choose, breathe or hide. Usually hiding wins. You learn to conserve oxygen like a miser hoards gold. Move slowly. Sleep when you can. Don't exert yourself unless absolutely necessary. That urgency you feel? Ignore it. Everything is slow motion in the submarine service. Not from laziness, but from necessity. Fast movement burns oxygen you don't have. The gauge reads 18% oxygen. Normal air is 21%. Doesn't sound like much difference until you try to think. Your brain fog isn't from lack of sleep, though that's certainly contributing. It's hypoxia, slowly starving your brain cells. Calculations take longer. Reactions slow. You stare at simple tasks like they're complex equations. Someone drops a wrench. The clang echoes through the boat. In normal air, you'd barely notice. In this soup, it sounds like a bell tolling. Everyone's on edge. Tempers flare over nothing. 2 guys get in a fist fight over whose turn it is to wind the chronometer. The chief breaks it up with promises of extra watch duty. Nobody has energy to care. The air gets thicker as you go deeper. Not literally. The pressure hull keeps atmospheric pressure constant. But psychologically, knowing there's 300 feet of ocean between you and air makes every breath feel heavier. Your lizard brain knows you're in a bubble, and bubbles pop. At night, or what passes for night in the eternal fluorescent twilight, you lie in your rack and listen to 79 other sets of lungs competing for oxygen. The snoring is epic. Sleep apnea is standard. Guys stop breathing for 30 seconds, then gasp like surfacing whales. In normal circumstances, concerning. Down here, just Tuesday. The worst is silent running. Destroyers overhead, depth charges circling. Everything shuts down. No engines, no air circulation, no scrubbers. Just 80 men trying not to breathe too loud while the air turns to poison. The candle dies. Emergency oxygen candles are broken out. Chemical sticks that release oxygen when burned. They also release heat in an already stifling environment. Choose your death. Suffocation or heat stroke. Hours pass. The air becomes soup. Men pass out at their stations. The corpsman breaks out tiny oxygen bottles for the worst cases. A few breaths of pure O2, just enough to keep them conscious. The captain finally orders the boat up. The depth gauge unwinds. 300 feet, 200, 100, 50. Surface! 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 The hatch breaks the surface. The lookouts fight to be first up the ladder. Fresh air rushes in like God's own breath. You've never appreciated air before. Now you gulp it like wine, feeling it wash the diesel and death from your lungs. Your headache fades. Your vision clears. You remember what thinking feels like, but you can't stay up here. Dawn's coming, and aircraft love finding submarines on the surface. Time to close the hatch, trap another bubble of air, and dive back into your underwater coffin. The diesel engines shut down. The electric motors take over. The oxygen clock starts again. Someone lights a cigarette. The smoke mingles with the diesel fumes and body odour, creating that unique submarine perfume. You breathe it in because it's all you've got. Your lungs adapt or they don't. Your mind accepts it or it breaks. Welcome to submarine warfare, where the enemy isn't just the Japanese or Germans. It's the very air you breathe. Every breath is borrowed time. Every dive is a gamble that you'll surface before the candle dies. Still think you'd last a day? You're already suffocating, and we haven't even seen combat yet. The fun's just beginning. Dive! 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 The klaxon screams like a mechanical banshee. Your blood freezes. This is it. Your first crash dive. Training didn't prepare you for the controlled panic that erupts. Men who were lounging seconds ago now sprint to stations with the urgency of the condemned. Green board, someone yells. All hull openings sealed, in theory. In practice, one faulty indicator light, and you're about to become very intimate with the Pacific Ocean. The lookouts come tumbling down from the bridge, water already pouring through the hatch. The last man slams it shut, dogs it tight, and the boat is sealed. No way out now. The bow planes bite into the water. The deck tilts forward at an impossible angle. Everything not secured goes flying. Coffee cups become missiles. That wrench someone forgot to stow. It's now a deadly projectile clanging through the compartment. You grab onto anything bolted down as the world tilts towards hell. The depth gauge spins. 50 feet, 75, 100. The hull starts its symphony. Creaking, groaning, popping like knuckles cracking. Each sound is the steel adjusting to pressure that wants to fold you like origami. The boat shudders. Something that shouldn't move does. You try not to think about it. Rig for depth charge attack. Oh, good. It gets worse. All non-essential equipment secured, loose gear stowed, light bulbs removed, so they won't shatter and shower glass. You help tie down anything that might become a weapon when the world starts shaking. Because it will shake. Depth charges don't have to hit you. Water doesn't compress. It just transfers all that explosive energy directly to your hull. Like being inside a bell while giants play drums. The boat levels out at 250 feet. Test depth is 300. Beyond that, nobody wants to find out. The hull compression is audible now. Steel groaning like an old man's joints. Rivets weep tiny streams of water. Normal, Peterson assures you, mopping sweat that has nothing to do with temperature. She always leaks a little at depth. A little, right? That's the Pacific Ocean trying to squeeze through steel, and he calls it a little. Silent running. The worst order. Everything shuts down. Main motors to dead slow. All auxiliary machinery secured. The boat becomes a ghost, drifting on momentum and prayer. No talking. No moving unless essential. 80 men trying to become invisible while trapped in a steel tube. The ventilation stops. Within minutes, the temperature climbs. The air thickens. Sweat pours off everyone, pooling on the deck, making everything slick. But you don't move. Can't move? Those destroyers up there have hydrophones. Underwater ears that can hear a wrench drop at 500 yards. So you sit, sweat, and pray to gods you're not sure exist anymore. Ping, active sonar. They're hunting. The sound goes through you like a physical force. Ping, closer. You can hear the destroyer's screws churning overhead. Twin propellers beating the water like a drummer counting down to your execution. The sound grows louder. Louder. Directly overhead now. Splash. Everyone knows that sound. Depth charges hitting the water. You count seconds. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. At 3 seconds per 100 feet, you calculate how deep they've set the charges. Math becomes very important when it determines how dead you're about to be. Wham! The first one goes off. Not close, but close enough. The boat lurches sideways like God punched it. Everything rings, the hull, your teeth, your bones. Cork insulation rains from the overhead. Light fixtures shatter despite precautions. In the darkness, someone whimpers. Wham! Wham! Closer. The boat rolls violently. You're thrown against the torpedo tube, adding new bruises to your collection. Something breaks with an expensive sound. Water sprays from a dozen new leaks. The lights flicker, die, come back dimmer. Emergency lighting casts everything in hellish red. All ahead, full! Right full rudder! Take her deep! The captain's gambling. Speed means noise, but staying put means death. The boat groans as she turns, tilting at insane angles. The depth gauge keeps spinning. 275, 300, 325. Past test depth now. Every foot is borrowed time. The hull makes sounds you've never heard. Creaking gives way to crackling, like ice breaking. A rivet shoots across the compartment like a bullet. The stream of water following it could cut flesh. Damage control teams attack leaks with wedges, mattresses, anything to slow the ocean's invasion. 350 feet. The boat shudders constantly now. This is crush depth, where physics stops being theoretical and starts being terminal. The pressure gauge reads 155 pounds per square inch. That's 155 pounds trying to crush every square inch of hull. The steel flexes inward visibly. You can see the boat being squeezed like a tube of toothpaste. More depth charges, but distant now. The destroyer's lost you, this time. The captain orders the boat back to 200 feet. The ascent is careful, controlled. Too fast and you'll broach the surface. Too slow and something might give way. The hull pops and groans in relief as pressure eases. Those leaks slow to trickles. The boat remembers its shape. Secure from silent running. The ventilation kicks back on. Beautiful diesel-scented air flows through the boat. Men slump at their stations. Someone vomits quietly in a corner. Fear does that. The lights come back to full brightness, revealing pale faces and wide eyes. Everyone's aged 5 years in 30 minutes. Damage reports filter in. Dozen minor leaks. Gyro compass knocked offline. Radio antenna damaged. Port air compressor seized. Nothing fatal, but the boat's wounded. Just like everyone aboard. You're a little more broken. a little less convinced of your immortality. Peterson grins at you with manic cheer. Not bad for your first depth charging. Only took 12. My record 47 in one attack. 3 hours of it. Lost 6 men to chlorine gas when the batteries cracked. 47? You can't imagine surviving one more, let alone 46. But that's submarine warfare. Hide and seek where losing means implosion. You're starting to understand why submariners have that look. That 1,000-yard stare that sees through bulkheads to the crushing black beyond. The boat creeps away from the area, running silent and deep. In a few hours she'll surface to charge batteries and refresh air. If nothing finds you first, if the hull holds, if. You help clean up the mess. Broken glass, spilled liquids, dignity scattered everywhere. The boat took it well, they say. She's tough. But you felt her flex, heard her scream. Every boat has a breaking point. You just hope you're not aboard when she finds hers. Your hands won't stop shaking. Adrenaline, Peterson says. It'll pass, but you know better. Those hands will shake every time you hear dive, dive, dive. They'll shake when you're 80, safe in bed, remembering the sound of steel trying not to die. Welcome to submarine warfare, where the ocean itself is your enemy, and every dive might be your last. Still think you'd volunteer for this? Too late now. You're 300 feet down with 79 other fools who thought underwater combat sounded like adventure. Adventure. Right. That's one word for it. Let's talk about submarine cuisine, where fresh is a memory, edible is negotiable, and everything tastes like diesel fuel with a side of despair. The galley, and I use that term loosely, is a closet-sized space where one cook performs daily miracles, turning garbage into slightly warm garbage. Day 1 of patrol, you're living like kings. Fresh vegetables, real meat, actual bread that bends instead of shatters. The cook, a sweaty genius named Cookie, they're all named Cookie, serves up scrambled eggs that only taste slightly of petroleum. This is the golden age. It lasts exactly 2 weeks. See, submarines have no refrigeration worth mentioning. The cooler is just the coolest part of the boat, which at 95 degrees isn't cooling anything. Fresh food rots with enthusiasm in the tropical heat. That lettuce turns to slime. The tomatoes liquefy. The meat develops colours meat shouldn't have. Cookie performs triage, cutting away the worst parts, serving the rest, pretending we don't notice. By week 3, fresh as a fairy tale. Now we're into canned goods territory. Everything comes from a can, beans, meat, fruit cocktail that's 90% syrup, 10% sadness. The labels fall off in the humidity, so meals become Russian roulette. Is it peaches? Is it spam? Is it that weird canned bread that tastes like sweetened cardboard? Open and pray, the bread situation deserves special mention. Real bread moulds in days. Solution? Canned bread. Yes, bread in a can. It comes out shaped like a cylinder, dense as a brick, tasting of tin and broken dreams. Cookie tries toasting it. This somehow makes it worse. Now it's hard and tastes like metal. By week 4, even this is a luxury. Storage is everywhere and nowhere. Food crams into every space. Cases of cans under bunks. Sacks of potatoes in the shower. What shower? Flour bags in the torpedo room. Walk through the boat those first days and you're climbing over groceries. As patrol continues, paths clear. Not because we're organising, because we're eating our way to mobility. The menu rotation is a joke. Monday, beans and cornbread. Tuesday, SOS, chit on a shingle, chipped beef on toast. Wednesday, beans again, but Cookie calls them different names. Thursday, mystery meat swimming in mystery gravy. Friday, beans. Weekend, fancy beans. Maybe some canned peaches if Cookie's feeling generous and the can opener cooperates. Water for cooking is rationed like everything else. Sometimes it's fresh water. Sometimes it's distilled from seawater, giving everything a subtle hint of brine and mechanical lubricant. The still breaks down regularly, leaving Cookie to perform miracles with whatever liquid he can scrounge. That soup might be 30% actual seawater. The salt helps hide other flavours. Coffee is religion. Cookie brews it strong enough to patch hole breaches. It tastes like battery acid filtered through a gym sock, but it's hot, caffeinated, and masks other flavours. Men will fight over the last cup. Actually fight. 2 torpedomen got written up for a coffee-related brawl that left both bloody and neither caffeinated. Meal times are shifts. Officers eat first, sitting down like civilized humans. Chiefs next. Then the rest of us animals crowd in, eating, standing up, shoveling food before the next shift boots you out. 20 minutes max. Conversation is past the salt, and what the hell is this? Answer to the second is always shut up and eat it. The diesel fuel contamination is inescapable. Everything tastes like it. The boat's fuel tanks wrap around the hull, and diesel permeates through steel, into food stores, into your soul. That canned peach? Diesel peach. That powdered milk? Diesel cream. Your taste buds adapt or die. Most choose death. By week 5, even canned goods run low. Now, Cookie gets creative. Creative is submarine code for desperate. Pancakes made from ground up crackers. Soup that's basically hot water with memories of vegetables. Coffee grounds reused until they're producing brown water through sheer intimidation. The freezer, when it works, holds meat that's been frozen since Noah's Ark. Cookie thaws it, looks for the least green parts, cooks it until it's leather, covers it in gravy thick enough to spackle walls. You eat it because the alternative is starving. Food poisoning is constant. Everyone has the runs. The head situation, already precarious, becomes a war zone. Fresh fruit disappears first, then vegetables, then anything resembling nutrition. Scurvy makes a comeback. Gums bleed. Teeth loosen. The pharmacist's mate hands out vitamin pills that taste like chalk and work about as well. Your body starts eating itself, but slowly, politely, one vitamin deficiency at a time. Cookie performs miracles with spam. Fried spam? Baked spam? Spam surprise. The surprise is it's just spam. Spam masquerading as meatloaf. Spam hash. Spam, spam, spam until the word loses meaning and you forget meat came from animals instead of rectangular cans. Birthday? Cookie might bake a cake. Flour, powdered eggs, condensed milk, and optimism. It comes out flat, dense, tasting of diesel and defeat. Everyone sings happy birthday. The birthday boy grins, eats his slice, pretends it's not the worst thing he's ever tasted. Morale matters more than honesty. The boat's favourite meal is shooters. When you sink an enemy ship, Cookie breaks out the good stuff. Steaks hoarded for special occasions. Maybe even ice cream from some secret stash. You feast like kings, while somewhere above, enemy sailors swim in oil-slicked water. The irony isn't lost on anyone, nobody mentions it. Underway replenishment is supposed to help. Another sub or tender transfers supplies. In reality, it's risking 2 boats for canned beans and powdered eggs. The fresh food, if any, goes to the officers. You get whatever didn't fit in their pantry. Usually more spam. Always more spam. By patrol's end, you're down to emergency rations. Hardtack from WWII. Canned goods so old the labels have decomposed. Cookie scrapes green fuzz off something that might have been bread, boils it, calls it pudding. You eat it because your body needs calories, and your standards died somewhere around week 4. The last week, even Cookie gives up pretending. Meals become, here's some canned shit, heat it yourself. The galley stove, overwhelmed by 2 months of abuse, works when it feels like it. Cold beans from the can become a delicacy. At least they're honest about what they are. Your body shows the nutritional deficit. 30 pounds lighter, skin pale as paper, gums bleeding, energy gone. You move like old men, conserving calories you don't have. The simplest tasks exhaust you. But food is fuel, and the boat needs you functional. So you choke down whatever Cookie produces and pretend it's not killing you slowly. The smell of cooking, such as it is, permeates everything. Rancid grease, burnt spam, diesel-flavoured steam. It mingles with the boat's other aromas to create a bouquet that would make a garbage dump jealous. You don't notice anymore. Your nose gave up weeks ago, along with your taste buds and will to live. Finally, mercifully, patrol ends. The boat surfaces for the last time, heading home. Cookie breaks out everything remaining, creating one last meal from the dregs. It's awful. Everyone agrees it's the best meal they've ever had, because it's the last one. Tomorrow, fresh food, real vegetables, meat that hasn't seen the Jurassic. You dock. The fresh food comes aboard for the next patrol. You watch it loaded, knowing exactly how it'll deteriorate. Those crisp vegetables will be slime. That bread will be green. That meat will turn colours. The cycle continues, but for now, you stumble onto the dock, blinking in sunlight, dreaming of food that doesn't taste like diesel. Real food. Mum food. Food that won't kill you slowly from the inside. First meal ashore? Everyone heads to the same greasy diner. Orders everything. Eats until they're sick. Because even the worst diner food is ambrosia compared to 2 months of Cookie's diesel cuisine. You'll complain about food the rest of your life. Nothing will ever be as bad as Submarine food. Nothing could be. But also, strangely, you'll miss it. Miss Cookie's terrible coffee. Miss the camaraderie of shared suffering. Miss the way hunger made even spam taste acceptable. That's the Submarine service. Where the food is terrible, but it's your terrible food. Where Cookie is a war criminal, but he's your war criminal. Where every meal is a battle between starvation and food poisoning, and sometimes food poisoning wins. Bon appetit, sailor. Hope you like spam. You better. It's all we've got. Temperature check. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit in the engine room. That's not a typo. That's not an exaggeration. That's Tuesday. The thermometer gave up at 115 and joined the crew in their collective heat stroke. Welcome to the Submarine service, where hell isn't just a metaphor. It's your thermostat setting. The boat is a steel tube sitting in tropical water, absorbing every ray of sun like a solar oven designed by sadists. No air conditioning. That's for surface ships, with their fancy ventilation and ability to open windows. You get fans that push hot air around, creating the illusion of cooling while actually just redistributing misery. The engine room is Dante's ninth circle, except hot. 2 massive diesel engines generate heat like they're trying to win a contest. The metal surfaces reach temperatures that brand flesh on contact. Engine crew wear gloves not for protection, but to avoid leaving skin on valves. They work in 20-minute shifts, because any longer and they literally cook. You're stationed in the manoeuvring room today. Lucky you. It's only 110 degrees here. The electrical panels radiate heat like space heaters. Sweat doesn't drip, it pours. Rivers run down your back, pool in your shoes, create slip hazards on the deck. You drink water constantly, but piss maybe once a day. Where does it all go? Check your uniform. It's salt-crusted like you've been swimming in the Dead Sea. By day 3 submerged, everyone's naked. Not sexy naked, desperate naked. Uniforms abandoned except for watches when officers might notice. Grown men shuffle past wearing nothing but skivvies and shame, their bodies glistening like greased pigs. Modesty died at 100 degrees. Dignity followed at 110, the bunks are torture chambers. Your mattress, such as it is, soaks through in minutes. You lie in a puddle of your own sweat, trying to sleep while your body temperature climbs toward heat stroke. The metal bunk frame burns wherever it touches skin. You develop a system of towels and rags to create barriers between flesh and steel. Rashes bloom like desert flowers. Heat rash starts as red bumps, progresses to angry welts, ends as open sores. Every fold of skin becomes a breeding ground for fungal infections. Crotch rot, foot rot, armpit rot, you're decomposing while still alive. The pharmacist's mate runs out of antifungal powder by week 2. After that, you just scratch and suffer. Dehydration is constant, despite drinking constantly. Water consumption hits 2 gallons per man per day. The evaporators can't keep up. Fresh water gets rationed tighter. Salt tablets become currency. Without them, you cramp so bad you can't function. With them, you feel like you're eating the ocean one pill at a time. The battery compartment adds its own hell. Charging batteries generate hydrogen and heat, lots of heat. During charging, that compartment hits 130 degrees. The electricians work in there anyway, monitoring for that exciting moment when hydrogen concentration gets high enough to turn your submarine into the world's deepest firework. Cooling efforts are pathetic. Wet towels on necks. Fans that move air like asthmatic butterflies. Some genius rigs a ventilation duct to blow directly on his bunk. Works great until the chief finds out and makes him share. Now 6 guys cluster around one weak stream of slightly less hot air like it's the fountain of youth. The heat makes everything worse. Food spoils faster. Tempers snap quicker. Simple tasks become marathons. You watch the clock, willing your watch to end so you can collapse somewhere marginally cooler. But there is nowhere cooler, just different shades of hell. Sleep deprivation compounds with heat exhaustion. You doze fitfully, wake drenched, stumble to watch, repeat. The human body isn't meant to function at these temperatures. Your brain cooks. Thoughts move like molasses. You stare at gauges, forgetting what they mean. The chief yells. You nod, understanding nothing, hoping muscle memory keeps you alive. Men crack. Peterson starts laughing during a depth charge attack. Not nervous laughter, hysterical, uncontrolled cackling. Takes 3 guys to hold him down while Doc shoots him full of morphine. He wakes up strapped to his bunk, still giggling. Heat madness, Doc says. Keep him sedated till we surface. The worst is the engine start-up after battery power. Those diesels need cooling water, which means opening valves, which means noise. But if you're still being hunted, you run hot. No cooling water. Engine temperatures soar past red line. The machinist's mates stand watch with fire extinguishers, waiting for something to ignite. Metal glows cherry red. Paint blisters and peels. Everyone holds their breath, waiting for catastrophic failure. You learn tricks. Soak your sheets before sleep. They'll be dry in an hour, but that's one cool hour. Stand under ventilation ducts during battery charges when airflow increases. Press against the hull where it's coolest, ignoring the condensation and risk of electrocution. Anything for a moment's relief. The ice machine breaks on day 12. Of course it does. The last cold thing on the boat, gone. Warm water becomes your only beverage. Coffee is served at the same temperature as the engine room, approximately surface of mercury hot. You drink it anyway because at least it's supposed to be hot. By patrol's end, everyone looks like concentration camp survivors. Gaunt, hollow-eyed, skin hanging loose from dehydration and weight loss. The boat surfaces for the trip home. Hatches open. Fresh air at 95 degrees feels arctic. You stand topside, letting trade winds dry the permanent sweat coating. It's the best feeling in the world. Back at port, you'll stand under cold showers until your skin prunes. Sleep in air conditioning until you shiver. Drink ice water until your teeth ache. For about a week. Then you'll volunteer for another patrol because you're either brave, stupid, or insane. Probably all three. The boat's already heating up for the next trip. The engine room crew makes bets on who will pass out first. Cookie wonders aloud if you can actually fry an egg on the deck plates. You can. It tastes like motor oil and sadness. This is submarine life, where the enemy isn't just the Japanese or Germans. It's thermodynamics, where victory means surviving your own boat's attempt to cook you alive, where comfortable is any temperature below body heat. Still think you'd last a day? You're already medium rare, and we haven't even talked about what happens when the ventilation system fails completely. That's next week's adventure, if you survive this one. Welcome to the submarine service, where the recruiting posters join the Navy and see the world. Forgot to mention you'd see it through a periscope, while slowly roasting in your own juices. Best job in the Navy, they said. Cool adventure, they said. They lied. Sleep is a luxury for surface dwellers. Down here, it's a theoretical concept, like personal space or breathable air. Welcome to the submarine watch rotation, where 4 on, 4 off isn't a schedule. It's a torture technique that would make the Spanish Inquisition take notes. Your watch just ended. 4 hours of staring at gauges that blur together, fighting micro-sleeps that could kill everyone. You stumble toward your rack, desperate for those precious 4 hours of unconsciousness. But first, you need to wake Johnson. He's in your bunk because you share it. Hot bunking, they call it. The sheets are still damp with his sweat. The pillow's still warm with his drool. Romantic. Johnson, Johnson. You shake him. He swings at you, still half asleep, mumbling about depth charges. Standard wake up. You dodge, shake harder. Finally his eyes open, unfocused, confused. Your watch, you tell him. He groans, rolls out. You roll in. The bunk is a coffin-sized shelf with a curtain for privacy. The mattress is 2 inches of compressed sadness. You're unconscious before Johnson's feet hit the deck. Not sleep. Unconsciousness. Your body simply shuts down from exhaustion. No dreams. Dreams require REM sleep, and REM sleep requires more than 4 hours. You get blackness, occasionally interrupted by the boat trying to kill you. General quarters! General quarters! You've been asleep for 45 minutes. Maybe. Time is meaningless. The alarm screams. You're moving before your brain engages. Muscle memory navigating the dark. Crash into Thompson coming out of his rack. Both fall. Get up. Keep moving. Your battle station must reach your battle station. The attack lasts 2 hours. Depth charges rattle teeth from skulls. When it's over, when the all clear sounds, you do the math. 3 hours 15 minutes until your next watch. Minus 10 minutes to wake up, dress, relieve the watch properly. 3 hours 5 minutes. You crawl back to your rack. Johnson's already there, passed out during his off watch. Do you wake him? Hell no. You find an empty corner, curl up like a dog, and pass out on bare steel. The human body needs 8 hours of sleep. You get 4. On a good day. In reality, it's 2 hours here, 40 minutes there. A collection of micro naps that never add up to rest. Your brain fog isn't from bad air alone. It's chronic sleep deprivation that will be considered torture in civilized society. Watch schedules rotate to ensure maximum misery. Today you stand the midnight to 0400. Tomorrow it's 0400 to 0800. Your circadian rhythm doesn't just get confused, it files for divorce and leaves. Day, night, these words have no meaning in fluorescent eternity. You sleep when allowed, stay awake when ordered, exist in a twilight state between both. The exhaustion hallucinations start around week 3. Shadows move in peripheral vision. Gauges display impossible readings. You hear voices in the engine noise, sometimes singing, sometimes screaming, always just out of comprehension. The boat talks to you, tells you secrets. You nod and log the readings because arguing with hallucinations wastes energy. Coffee becomes your blood. You mainline it, black as reactor shielding, strong enough to wake the dead. It doesn't wake you, nothing wakes you anymore. You exist in a state beyond tired, where exhaustion loops back around to a sort of manic functionality. You're not awake, you're just vertically unconscious. Standing watch in this state is Russian roulette. The engine telegraph blurs. Was that a head full or a head 1/3? The depth gauge dances. Are we at 200 feet or 300? You shake your head, slap yourself, focus. Lives depend on your attention. Your attention checked out somewhere around hour 60 of consciousness. The chiefs know everyone's zombified. They prowl the boat, checking on watchstanders. Finding someone asleep on watch is a court-martial offence. In practice, it's a kick in the ribs and extra duties. Everyone's done it. Everyone will do it again. The boat's real hero is whoever invented the dead man's switch. Fall asleep, and alarms wake everyone. Embarrassing, but better than diving past crush depth, because you nodded off. You develop sleeping superpowers. Can fall asleep standing up. Sitting on the toilet while eating. Mid-conversation. Your body takes any opportunity, any position, any surface. That banging from the engine room that keeps new guys awake. That's your lullaby. Depth charges in the distance. White noise. The dreams, when they come, are vivid and wrong. You're home, but the house is flooded. You're in your bunk, but it's on fire. You're standing watch, but all the gauges show skull and crossbones. You wake confused, unsure which reality is real. The boat, the dream, both feel equally unlikely. Personal hygiene becomes a sleep casualty. Shave. That's 5 minutes of sleep lost. Brush teeth. Another 3 minutes gone. You do the minimum to avoid disease and court-martial. Everything else is optional. You smell like a dumpster fire? Join the club. We meet never because meetings require consciousness. Some guys crack completely. Rodriguez starts sleepwalking, trying to open hatches at depth. They find him wrestling with the Christmas tree, the valve manifold, at 0300, eyes open but nobody home. Doc straps him down, shoots him full of phenobarbital. He sleeps for 18 hours straight. Everyone's jealous. The officers pretend they're above it. They get their own staterooms, coffin-sized but private. They stand shorter watches, get more sleep, but even they stumble around like drunks by week 4. The captain naps in his chair, claims he's resting his eyes. The XO falls asleep during briefings. Nobody mentions it. Glass houses and all that. You learn to sleep work. Body goes through motions while brain checks out. You've stood entire watches with no memory of them. The logs show your handwriting, your readings. You must have been there. But those 4 hours are gone, deleted. Your body on autopilot, while your mind grabbed desperately needed rest. The worst is battle stations at night. Dead asleep to combat in seconds. Adrenaline hammers through your system like liquid lightning. You're hyper-aware for the attack. Every sense overloaded. Then it ends. The adrenaline crashes. You're more exhausted than before, shaking from chemical depletion, expected to go back to sleep like nothing happened. Your body laughs at the concept. By patrol's end, you're a different species. Some sort of semi-conscious maritime creature that functions on caffeine and spite. You can't remember what real sleep feels like. That first night in port, in an actual bed, you can't sleep. Too quiet. Too still. Too much space. You end up on the floor, wrapped in a blanket, rocking yourself with imaginary wave motion. It takes weeks to recover. To remember what 8 consecutive hours of sleep feels like. To dream normally instead of fever visions of drowning and gauges. To wake naturally instead of to alarms and explosions. Just in time to go back out and do it again. This is submarine sleep, where 4 hours is luxury, where exhaustion is baseline, where hallucinations from sleep deprivation are considered normal watch phenomena, where grown men cry from tiredness but can't spare the energy for actual tears. Still think you could handle it? You're already seeing double, and we haven't even covered what happens during a real emergency when you've been awake for 72 hours straight. But don't worry about that now. Get some sleep. You've got watch in 3 hours and 47 minutes, if you're lucky. Let's talk about the most dangerous equipment on your submarine. The torpedoes? Dangerous, sure. The depth charges outside, definitely concerning. But the real killer? The toilets. That innocent-looking bowl might just be what sends you all to Davy Jones's locker. See, surface ships have it easy. Gravity and pipes, waste goes down and out. Simple. Submarines? We're underwater, often deeper than the Empire State Building is tall. The ocean wants in with the pressure of 1,000 fire hoses. You want to put waste out through that same pressure. This requires engineering that would make NASA jealous, and a procedure more complex than launching the damn torpedoes. Peterson's giving you the toilet briefing. Again. Because getting it wrong doesn't just mean embarrassment. It means potential catastrophic flooding. Listen up, rookie. This isn't your mama's outhouse. This is a precision waste disposal system. He's not joking. The placard on the wall lists 11 steps. 11. To take a shit. Step 1. Check the depth gauge. Too deep? Hold it. The pressure differential will blow the contents back at you like a fecal fountain. Not metaphorically, literally. Johnson found out the hard way at 400 feet. Still can't look him in the eye. Step 2. Open valve A, inlet valve. This lets sea pressure into the system. Already we're inviting the ocean closer to our personal business than anyone's comfortable with. Step 3. Check bowl contents. Is someone else's disaster still there? Deal with it. No passing the buck or the other thing. Step 4. Close valve B, hull valve. This is critical. This valve is all that stands between you and the Pacific Ocean. Forget this step, and you're the guy who sank a submarine with his bowels. Step 5. Do your business, quickly. This isn't leisure time. There's a line of desperate men behind you, all prairie dogging while you figure out the valves. Step 6. Add water. Just enough to facilitate movement. Too much and you overflow. Too little and, well, things stick. Finding the balance is an art form nobody wants to master. Step 7. Open valve C. Discharge valve. Slowly, slowly, too fast, and the pressure difference creates a geyser. Of what? Use your imagination. Actually don't. Step 8. Pump the manual pressure handle. 10 to 15 strokes to build pressure. Your biceps get a workout. Never thought you'd need upper body strength to defecate, did you? Step 9. Open whole valve B while maintaining pressure. This is the moment of truth. You're creating a higher pressure inside the bowl than the ocean outside. Get it wrong, and Neptune himself reaches up through the pipes to slap you. Step 10. Continue pumping until contents clear. The sound is indescribable, like a giant drinking a thick milkshake through a steel straw. Everyone in 3 compartments knows exactly what you're doing. Step 11. Close all valves in reverse order. Miss one and you've created a time bomb for the next user. Or worse, a slow leak that nobody notices until we're all breathing water. Congratulations. You've successfully used the toilet. It only took 10 minutes, an engineering degree, and years off your life from stress. The guy waiting outside is doing the pee-pee dance of desperation. His problem now. But wait, it gets worse. Sometimes the system backs up. Not like your home toilet backs up. This backs up with the force of the ocean behind it. The eruption is volcanic. The cleanup is everybody's problem. The smell rewrites your understanding of human suffering. Night soil operations are special hell. Night soil is the delicate term for pumping out the sanitary tanks. Has to be done at night, on the surface, because it leaves a trail. A trail that enemy ships can follow. A trail that says, "Submarine was here, please drop depth charges." So we surface, pump out everyone's accumulated waste, and dive before dawn. The ocean behind us looks like 80 men just flushed. But the real fun, chlorine gas. The batteries below you contain acid. Mix that with certain other substances, use your imagination, and you get chlorine gas. The same stuff they used in WWII trenches. Now it's in your submarine because someone didn't flush properly and waste leaked into the battery compartment. Everyone's eyes water, throats close, gas masks come out. All because someone couldn't follow the 11 steps. The constipation epidemic is real. Guys go days, sometimes a week, without using the head. Not from lack of need, from fear. Fear of the procedure. Fear of screwing up. Fear of being the guy who sank the boat with his arse. The doc hands out laxatives. Nobody takes them. Better to suffer than risk the procedure under pressure. Emergencies don't wait for bathroom breaks. Crash dive with your pants around your ankles. You're waddling to your battle station like a penguin, trying to maintain dignity while securing valves. The boat's at 45 degrees. You're sliding down the deck, pants at half-mast, officers screaming about proper uniform. Welcome to submarine warfare. The bucket system is the backup. 5-gallon buckets with lids. When the toilets break, not if when, these become your new best friends. Fill it, seal it, store it. Where? Wherever it fits. That corner behind the torpedoes? Bucket storage, that space under the chart table. Bucket city, the smell permeates everything. Your clothes, your food, your dreams. Privacy is a joke. The head door is tissue thin if it exists at all. every sound carries. Every event is public knowledge. You learn things about your crewmates you never wanted to know. Their schedules, their struggles, their desperate prayers to whatever god oversees submarine bowel movements. The officers have their own head. One toilet for 8 officers. Luxury. Except when it breaks, they have to use enlisted facilities. Nothing brings officers and enlisted together like shared bathroom misery. The captain, struggling with valve procedures like a common seaman, almost makes it worth it. By patrol's end, everyone's an expert. You can run the toilet procedure in your sleep. Literally, guys dream about valve sequences, but that expertise comes at a cost. You'll never look at a normal toilet the same way. That simple flush mechanism, magic. Pure magic that doesn't require 11 steps and risk analysis. Some boats lose men to toilet disasters. Not joking. Valve fails at depth. Water shoots in like a horizontal waterfall. Compartment floods before damage control can respond. He died in the head isn't a euphemism. It's a submarine reality. Imagine explaining that to the family. Your son died bravely, in the bathroom. The post-patrol medical checks always include digestive issues. Every man constipated, dehydrated, suffering from self-imposed bathroom trauma. The doc shakes his head, prescribes fibre, knows nobody will take it. Can't risk good digestion when bad digestion keeps you away from the toilet valves. This is submarine life, where answering nature's call requires an engineering degree, where toilets are more complex than torpedoes, where grown men develop bathroom anxiety that would make Freud rich, where I need to use the head is followed by 20 minutes of valve manipulation and prayer. Still think you could handle it? Your bladders are already screaming, and we haven't even covered what happens when the system fails completely during a depth charge attack. But first, check the depth gauge. Always check the depth gauge. Your life depends on it. The last time you saw the sun was 47 days ago. You remember because you marked it on the calendar, back when days still meant something. Now you exist in eternal fluorescent twilight, your skin the colour of fish belly, your eyes forgetting what natural light looks like. Vitamin D deficiency isn't just a medical term anymore, it's your personality. The doc tries to explain what's happening. Your bones are softening, your immune system is failing, your mood is, well, everyone's mood is somewhere between murder and suicide with brief stops at hysterical laughter. He hands out vitamin supplements that taste like chalk and work about as well. The fluorescent lights never turn off. Never. They buzz constantly, a high-pitched whine that burrows into your brain. Some bulbs flicker, creating a strobe effect that triggers headaches. You'd fix them, but that requires turning them off. And darkness on a submarine isn't empty. It's solid, pressing, filled with all the ways you could die. Your circadian rhythm gave up around day 10. Your body has no idea when to sleep, when to wake, when to feel human. You exist in a temporal fog, where Shore 300 feels identical to 1500. The watch schedule helps. It's whatever time your watch says, but your biology rebels. You're tired when you should be alert, wide awake when allowed to sleep. The pale starts gradually. First you lose your tan, then you pass through normal pallor into something new, submarine pale. It's not just white, it's translucent. You can see veins through skin. Everyone looks like cave creatures, which technically you are. Cave creatures who smell like diesel and despair. Dreams of sunlight become vivid, almost hallucinogenic. You dream in Technicolor about beaches, parks, anywhere with sky. Wake up to grey steel and greyish white faces and grey food on grey plates. The absence of colour is physical, oppressive. Someone brought playing cards with red backs. Everyone stares at them like art. The psychological effects compound daily. Irritability escalates to rage over nothing. Two men get in a fistfight over whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Neither is right, it's Friday. But dates mean nothing when every day is identical. The captain posts the date daily. Nobody believes him. Time is what the watch schedule says, nothing more. Your eyes forget how to focus long distance. Everything on a submarine is within arm's reach. Your vision adapts, muscles atrophy. When you finally surface, the horizon hurts. Your eyes water trying to focus on clouds. Infinity is painful after 2 months of walls. Some guys crack completely. Start talking about the sun like a lost lover. Drawing sunrises on any available surface. Peterson keeps a photo of a sunset in his pocket. Pulls it out to stare at like pornography. You understand. That orange ball in the blue sky. Seems like mythology now. The lack of shadows is unsettling. Shadows give dimension, depth, reality. Under fluorescence, everything is flat, shadowless, unreal. You exist in a two-dimensional world where nothing has weight or substance. Your own body feels fake, like you're piloting a meat puppet through a steel maze. Seasonal affective disorder is just called submarine service. Everyone has it. The doc notes, increased requests for sleeping pills. Denied, need you alert. Stimulants, coffee is your stimulant, sailor. And anything to make the grey go away. He prescribes vitamin D and sympathy. Both are in short supply. The first time you surface after a long patrol is religious. That hatch opens and natural light pours down like God's own spotlight. It hurts, physically hurts. Your eyes water, squint, refuse to process this much brightness. But you force them open because this is sun. Actual, fusion-powered, life-giving sun. You climb up to the bridge, mole people emerging from the underworld. The sky is impossibly blue. Clouds are miracles. That burning sensation on your skin, that's called warmth, and you'd forgotten it existed. Everyone stands there, faces turned up like sunflowers, soaking in radiation that surface people take for granted. But here's the cruel joke. You can't stay up long. Submarines are vulnerable on the surface. Aircraft, other ships, even weather can kill you up here. So after an hour, maybe 2, back down you go, back to the fluorescent cave. The hatch closes, another metal lid on another metal coffin, and the sun becomes memory again. The vitamin D shots help a little. Emphasis on little. It's like describing water to a drowning man. Your body needs actual sunlight, not injectable substitutes. Your bones ache, your teeth feel loose, hair falls out in clumps. Everyone looks like extras from a horror movie about underground cannibals. Night watches on the surface are bittersweet. You can see stars, actual stars, but no sun. The moon is a poor substitute, but you'll take it. That silver light on water is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Until dawn approaches, and you have to dive again, running from the very thing your body craves. Some boats experiment with sun lamps, special bulbs that supposedly mimic natural light. They don't. They're just different fluorescents that make everyone look jaundiced instead of dead. The crew calls them depression bulbs and uses them for unauthorized tanning sessions that result in bizarre stripe patterns and radiation burns. The old-timers adapt better. Or maybe they just died inside long ago. They move through the boat like ghosts, pale and efficient, no longer needing what they'll never have. You wonder if you'll become that. If your skin will forget it was ever meant to see sun. If your eyes will permanently adjust to flat, grey, artificial existence. Letters from home mention weather you can't comprehend. It's sunny here. Sunny. The word has no meaning. You remember sunny, like you remember childhood. Distant. Impossible. Probably imagined. They might as well write, it's purple here, for all the sense it makes. The return to port is jarring. That first full day in actual sunlight hurts everywhere. Sunburn in minutes because your skin has forgotten how to process UV. Headaches from squinting. Disorientation from shadows that move as the day progresses. You're a vampire forced into daylight, wondering why you ever miss this burning ball of pain. But you adapt, sort of. Skin remembers how to tan. Eyes remember distance. Circadian rhythm staggers back online. You start to feel human again. Just in time for the next patrol. 2 more months without sunlight. 2 more months of fluorescent purgatory. 2 more months of watching your body forget what species it's supposed to be. The submarine service, where men go under the sea and come back as something else. Still think you'd make it? You're already vitamin D deficient just from reading about it. Your skin is paler. Your mood is darker. And we haven't even covered what happens when the electrical system fails, and you experience true darkness. The kind that makes you grateful for any light, even the soul-sucking fluorescence. But don't worry about that now. Just enjoy whatever light you have. While you still can, while you still remember what it's for. The last time you saw the sun was 47 days ago. You remember because you marked it on the calendar, back when days still meant something. Now you exist in eternal fluorescent twilight, your skin the colour of fish belly, your eyes forgetting what natural light looks like. Vitamin D deficiency isn't just a medical term anymore, it's your personality. The doc tries to explain what's happening. Your bones are softening. Your immune system is failing. Your mood is, well, everyone's mood is somewhere between murders and suicide, with brief stops at hysterical laughter. He hands out vitamin supplements that taste like chalk and work about as well. The fluorescent lights never turn off. Never. They buzz constantly. A high-pitched whine that burrows into your brain. Some bulbs flicker, creating a strobe effect that triggers headaches. You'd fix them, but that requires turning them off. And darkness on a submarine isn't empty. It's solid, pressing, filled with all the ways you could die. Your circadian rhythm gave up around day 10. Your body has no idea when to sleep, when to wake, when to feel human. You exist in a temporal fog where 0300 feels identical to 1500. The watch schedule helps. It's whatever time your watch says, but your biology rebels. You're tired when you should be alert, wide awake when allowed to sleep. The pale starts gradually. First, you lose your tan, then you pass through normal pallor into something new. Submarine pale. It's not just white, it's translucent. You can see veins through skin. Everyone looks like cave creatures, which, technically, you are. Cave creatures who smell like diesel and despair. Dreams of sunlight become vivid, almost hallucinogenic. You dream in technicolor about beaches, parks, anywhere with sky. Wake up to grey steel and greyish-white faces and grey food on grey plates. The absence of colour is physical, oppressive. Someone brought playing cards with red backs. Everyone stares at them like art. The psychological effects compound daily. Irritability escalates to rage over nothing. 2 men get in a fist fight over whether it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Neither is right, it's Friday. But dates mean nothing when every day is identical. The captain posts the date daily. Nobody believes him. Time is what the watch schedule says, nothing more. Your eyes forget how to focus long distance. Everything on a submarine is within arm's reach. Your vision adapts, muscles atrophy. When you finally surface, the horizon hurts. Your eyes water trying to focus on clouds. Infinity is painful after 2 months of walls. Some guys crack completely. Start talking about the sun like a lost lover, drawing sunrises on any available surface. Peterson keeps a photo of a sunset in his pocket, pulls it out to stare at like pornography. You understand. That orange ball in the blue sky seems like mythology now. The lack of shadows is unsettling. Shadows give dimension, depth, reality. Under fluorescence, everything is flat, shadowless, unreal. You exist in a two-dimensional world where nothing has weight or substance. Your own body feels fake, like you're piloting a meat puppet through a steel maze. Seasonal affective disorder is just called submarine service. Everyone has it. The doc notes increased requests for sleeping pills, denied, need you alert, stimulants, coffee is your stimulant, sailor, and anything to make the grey go away. He prescribes vitamin D and sympathy. Both are in short supply. The first time you surface after a long patrol is religious. That hatch opens and natural light pours down like God's own spotlight. It hurts, physically hurts. Your eyes water, squint, refuse to process this much brightness. But you force them open because this is sun. Actual fusion-powered, life-giving sun. You climb up to the bridge, mole people emerging from the underworld. The sky is impossibly blue. Clouds are miracles. That burning sensation on your skin? That's called warmth, and you'd forgotten it existed. Everyone stands there, faces turned up like sunflowers, soaking in radiation that surface people take for granted. But here's the cruel joke. You can't stay up long. Submarines are vulnerable on the surface. Aircraft, other ships, even weather can kill you up here. So after an hour, maybe 2, back down you go. Back to the fluorescent cave. The hatch closes, another metal lid on another metal coffin, and the sun becomes memory again. The vitamin D shots help a little. Emphasis on little. It's like describing water to a drowning man. Your body needs actual sunlight, not injectable substitutes. Your bones ache. Your teeth feel loose. Hair falls out in clumps. Everyone looks like extras from a horror movie about underground cannibals. Night watches on the surface are bittersweet. You can see stars, actual stars, but no sun. The moon is a poor substitute, but you'll take it. That silver light on water is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Until dawn approaches and you have to dive again, running from the very thing your body craves. Some boats experiment with sun lamps, special bulbs that supposedly mimic natural light. They don't. They're just different fluorescents that make everyone look jaundiced instead of dead. The crew calls them depression bulbs and uses them for unauthorized tanning sessions that result in bizarre stripe patterns and radiation burns. The old-timers adapt better. Or maybe they just died inside long ago. They move through the boat like ghosts, pale and efficient, no longer needing what they'll never have. You wonder if you'll become that, if your skin will forget it was ever meant to see sun, if your eyes will permanently adjust to flat, grey, artificial existence. Letters from home mention weather you can't comprehend. It's sunny here. Sunny. The word has no meaning. You remember sunny like you remember childhood. Distant, impossible, probably imagined. They might as well write, "It's purple here," for all the sense it makes. The return to port is jarring. That first full day in actual sunlight hurts everywhere. Sunburn in minutes because your skin has forgotten how to process UV. Headaches from squinting. Disorientation from shadows that move as the day progresses. You're a vampire forced into daylight, wondering why you ever missed this burning ball of pain. But you adapt. Sort of. Skin remembers how to tan. Eyes remember distance. Circadian rhythm staggers back online. You start to feel human again. Just in time for the next patrol. 2 more months without sunlight. 2 more months of fluorescent purgatory. 2 more months of watching your body forget what species it's supposed to be. The submarine service, where men go under the sea and come back as something else. Still think you'd make it? You're already vitamin D deficient, just from reading about it. Your skin is paler. Your mood is darker. And we haven't even covered what happens when the electrical system fails, and you experience true darkness, the kind that makes you grateful for any light, even the soul-sucking fluorescence. But don't worry about that now. Just enjoy whatever light you have, while you still can, while you still remember what it's for. Battle stations, surface action, starboard side. The words you've drilled for, but hoped never to hear. It's 00300, you're on the surface, charging batteries, vulnerable as a newborn. The lookout spotted a destroyer before it spotted you. Maybe, hopefully. The diving alarm screams. You're running, always running to your station. This time it's for real. The boat tilts forward at that sickening angle. You're diving, but slowly. Too slowly. Those batteries you're charging make you heavy, sluggish. The destroyer has radar, speed, guns. You have hope and a hull that might hold together. The math isn't encouraging. 60 feet, periscope depth. The captain's gambling. Stay shallow, keep the periscope up, maybe get a shot off before they find you. The periscope is a metal finger sticking up, saying, "Submarine here." But it's also your only eyes. Blind or visible, choose your death. Through the periscope, the captain sees what's hunting you. Japanese destroyer, Fubuki class. Fast, mean, carrying enough depth charges to turn you into fish food. It's turning toward you. They've seen the periscope, or the phosphorescent wake, or maybe just got lucky. Doesn't matter. They're coming. Down scope. Take a deep. All ahead full. Now it's a race. Can you get deep enough before their depth charges arrive? The boat groans as she accelerates downward. 100 feet. 150. 200. Not deep enough. Never deep enough. But it's what you've got. The destroyer's screws are audible now. Twin props churning water, getting louder. The sound operator is pale, headphones pressed tight. High-speed screws, getting louder, bearing constant. Translation, they're coming straight at us. Rig for depth charge, rig for depth charge. You've done this drill 100 times. Now it's real. Secure all loose gear. Remove light bulbs. Dog all watertight doors. Check damage control equipment. Pray to whatever god handles underwater explosions. The boat becomes a tomb prepared for its own funeral. The screws pass overhead. For a moment, silence. And then, splash, 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 splash. 4 depth charges hit the water. You count seconds. Distance equals time times 550 feet per second in water. Math becomes very personal when it calculates your depth. 1 Mississippi. 2 Mississippi. 3, wham! The first one's not close. Close enough to wring your teeth, not close enough to kill. The boat lurches sideways. Cork insulation rains down. Somewhere aft, something breaks expensively. But you're alive. That's one. Wham! Wham! Closer. The boat rolls violently. You're airborne for a moment, then slammed into the deck. The lights flicker, die. Emergency power kicks in. Red light now, because apparently normal terror needs mood lighting. Water sprays from a dozen new leaks. Nothing major. Yet, wham! Too close. The boat whips like a snake. A pipe breaks, spraying high-pressure water. Damage control attacks it with wooden wedges, mattresses, anything. The hull makes sounds it shouldn't. Creaking, cracking, like ice breaking. But holding, barely holding. All ahead flank, right full rudder. The captain's manoeuvring, trying to throw off their targeting. The boat heels over, equipment slides, men slide, dignity abandoned. The destroyer's screws fade, then grow louder, coming around for another run. How many depth charges do they carry? How many can you take? Nobody wants to find that math. Silent running. Rigs for silent running. Everything shuts down. Motors to dead slow. All machinery secured. 80 men trying not to exist. The destroyer's hydrophones are listening for any sound. A dropped wrench, a cough, a prayer said too loud. Anything could give you away. You breathe shallow, move careful, exist as quietly as death. The air goes bad fast. CO2 builds up. The boat's getting deeper, pressure squeezing, temperature rising. Sweat pours off everyone, but nobody moves to wipe it. Movement makes noise. Noise brings death. So you sit in your own puddle and wait. Ping, active sonar. They're hunting with sound now. The ping goes through you like a physical force. Ping, closer. They're bracketing, narrowing down your location. Ping! You feel naked, exposed, like they can see through the hull. More splashes. More counting. More explosions. The boat dances and shudders. A battery cracks. Chlorine gas starts building. Can't surface to ventilate. Can't run the blowers. Can't do anything but absorb punishment and hope your boat's tougher than their explosives. Hours pass. Or minutes. Time doesn't work right during depth charging. The destroyer makes pass after pass. Your beard grows between explosions. You age years in seconds. The boat accumulates wounds, leaks, cracks, broken systems. But she holds. Somehow she holds. Finally the screws fade. Actually fade. The destroyer's either out of depth charges or patience. Maybe another target called them away. Maybe they think you're dead. You wait another hour to be sure. An hour of 80 men breathing poison air, sitting in puddles of sweat and fear, listening for the return of death. Nothing. The ocean is quiet except for your boat crying in pain from her wounds. Secure from silent running. Damage reports. The reports are bad but not fatal. Dozen major leaks. Port motor bearing damaged. Radio antenna gone. Periscope won't raise. Battery compartment full of chlorine gas. But you're alive. The boat's alive. That's victory enough. You surface at night to ventilate and assess. The ocean that tried to crush you now supports you. Fresh air tastes like resurrection. The damage control parties work miracles with spare parts and profanity. By dawn, you're diving again. Wounded but functional. Ready for the next round of hide and seek. But combat isn't always defensive. Sometimes you hunt. Sound contacts. Bearing 320 sounds like merchant traffic. The captain raises the periscope. In the distance, smoke. A convoy. Fat merchant ships full of supplies for Japanese islands. And escorts. At least 2 destroyers. The math begins. Distance, speed, angle. Can you get into position? Can you attack without dying? The slide rule says maybe. Battle stations, torpedo. Different energy now. You're the predator. The forward torpedo room becomes organised chaos. 6 tubes loaded. Fish, torpedoes, checked and double-checked. These mechanical sharks cost more than you'll make in a lifetime. Missing wastes money. Worse, it tells the enemy exactly where you are. The approach takes hours. Creeping at periscope depth, taking observations, calculating. The convoy zigzags, standard anti-submarine tactic. You plot their pattern, anticipate their next turn. The captain's eye is glued to the periscope, calling observations. The XO works the targeting computer, a mechanical marvel that usually works. Final bearing and shoot. Bearing mark. Range mark. Fire 1. The boat shudders as 3,000 pounds of torpedo launches. Compressed air shoves it out, its motor starts, and it's running hot, straight and normal. Hopefully. Torpedoes have personalities. Some run true, some circle back to kill you. Some dive for the bottom, or broach the surface. You've fired a very expensive prayer. Fire 2, fire 3. Standard spread. Multiple fish at slightly different angles. Increases hit probability. The captain watches through the periscope, counting down. Time to target, 2 minutes. 2 minutes to know if you're successful or if you've just announced your location to very angry destroyers. Hit! 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 Explosions in the distance. The merchant ship breaks in half, going down fast. Success. But now comes the hard part. Those destroyers are turning toward you and they're mad. Time to run. Take her deep. All ahead flank. The dance begins again. But this time they know exactly where you started. The first depth charges arrive quickly. Your victory celebration lasts exactly as long as it takes for the ocean to start trying to crush you again. The merchant's cargo might be heading for the bottom, but so might you. This is submarine combat, alternating between predator and prey. Hunter and hunted. You stalk convoys, sink ships, disrupt supply lines. They hunt you with everything they have. The ocean doesn't care who wins. It hates everyone equally. Night surface attacks are special terror. You surface in darkness, using diesel speed to get ahead of a convoy. Attack on the surface with deck guns or torpedoes, then crash dive before escorts find you. It's like knife fighting in a dark room where the floor might disappear. The deck gun crews are insane. Picture this. You're on a submarine's deck. At night, waves washing over, trying to aim a gun at ships that are shooting back. One wave washes you overboard and you're gone. The boat can't stop to look for you, but the gun crews volunteer anyway because sinking ships matters more than personal safety. Sometimes you miss. Torpedoes pass ahead, behind, underneath. The convoy scatters. Escorts charge. You dive and run, having achieved nothing but announcing your presence. The fish you fired cost $10,000 each. You just threw $60,000 into the ocean for nothing. The captain writes it up, crew morale drops, and you slink away to try again. Sometimes the torpedoes malfunction. Run too deep, passing harmlessly under targets. Explode prematurely, telling everyone where you are. Refuse to explode even on impact, bouncing off hulls like very expensive pool cues. The torpedo officers tear their hair out, adjusting, readjusting, praying to the gods of mechanical reliability. The worst is when you sink a ship and survivors are in the water. Hundreds of men, floating, burning, drowning. You can't rescue them, no room, and their friends are trying to kill you. You watch through the periscope as they struggle and die. Some wave at you. Some curse. Most just float. The captain logs the sinking and moves on. War doesn't allow humanitarian gestures. Counter-detection gear evolves constantly. They get radar. You get radar detectors. They get better sonar. You get sound-absorbing coatings. It's a technology race where second place means death. The boat bristles with antennas, sensors, countermeasures. None of it guarantees survival. It just changes the odds from certain death to probable death. The acoustic torpedo is nightmare fuel. A torpedo that homes in on sound. Your sound. The sound of your screws turning. You launch a regular torpedo, they launch one that chases you. Now you're running from your own weapon's cousin. The countermeasure is a noisemaker. Basically a washing machine dropped overboard to make more noise than you. Sometimes it works. Sometimes the torpedo is smarter than your washing machine. By patrol's end, you're either a veteran or a statistic. If you're a veteran, you've aged 20 years in 2 months. You've seen ships die, felt depth charges try to crush you, hidden from aircraft that drop bombs which work underwater, because of course they do. You've learned that combat isn't glorious. It's hide and seek, where losing means everyone you know dies. The boat returns to port with victory flags flying, one for each ship sunk. The crew gets liberty, drinks too much, forgets for a few hours. But you know you're going back out. More convoys to hunt. More destroyers to evade. More games of underwater hide and seek. This is submarine combat. Not the clean torpedo shots from movies. Not the dramatic surface battles. Just terrified men in a steel tube playing deadly games with other terrified men in steel ships. Everyone praying their steel holds longer than the other guys. Still think you'd volunteer? You're already checking exits, and that's just from reading about it. Imagine living it. Imagine 2 months of it. Imagine knowing you're going back for more. But hey, at least the pay is good. If you live to collect it. Big if. Everyone has a breaking point. On a submarine, you find yours faster than anywhere else. The boat's not just testing your body, it's systematically dismantling your mind. Some men crack loud and dramatic. Others just quietly stop being human. Welcome to the submarine service, where mental health is a luxury you can't afford, and insanity is a job hazard. Rodriguez was fine yesterday. Normal as anyone gets down here. Stood his watch, ate his diesel-flavoured beans, made the same complaints everyone makes. Then this morning he tried to open the main ballast vents at 300 feet. Just walked up to the control panel and started spinning valves. If Thompson hadn't tackled him, we'd all be permanent residents of the Pacific floor. They've got him strapped to his bunk now. Doc shot him full of morphine, but he's still talking. Not to us. To people who aren't there. His dead brother, apparently. His high school teacher. God. Having full conversations with thin air while we pretend not to notice. Because noticing means acknowledging it could be us tomorrow. Submarine psychosis, the doc calls it. Fancy term for this job breaks brains. The symptoms read like a checklist of boat life. Claustrophobia, paranoia, hallucinations, violent outbursts, catatonia. The treatment? There isn't one. Not down here. Just sedation and hope they hold together until we reach port. The hallucinations are common, so common we don't even report them anymore. Shadow people in peripheral vision. Voices in the engine noise. Dead shipmates standing watch. You learn to ignore them, work around them, accept them as crew members who don't take up bunk space. Peterson sees his wife every night. She stands by his bunk, silent, judging. He knows she's not real. She's in Iowa, probably sleeping with his brother. But knowing doesn't stop the visions. He talks to her sometimes, apologizes for things. We pretend we're asleep. What else can you do? The paranoia is functional at first. Everyone's watching everyone because anyone could make the mistake that kills everyone. But it mutates. Johnson's convinced the cook is poisoning him specifically. Won't eat unless someone else tastes his food first. The cook is offended. Johnson doesn't care. He's lost 40 pounds and sees conspiracies in the beans. Sleep deprivation fertilises crazy. By week 6, everyone's running on fumes and hallucinations. The line between dream and reality doesn't blur. It disappears. You have conversations you can't remember. Stand watches that might not have happened. Write log entries in languages you don't speak. The boat's log from last patrol has 3 pages of what appears to be cuneiform. Nobody remembers writing it. The violence comes from nowhere. 2 men who've been friends for years suddenly trying to kill each other over a perceived slight. Maybe one looked at the other wrong. Maybe the engine noise said something. The fight is vicious, primal, like watching animals. Takes 6 men to separate them. Next day neither remembers why they fought. The day after they do it again. Catatonia is scarier than violence. Williams just stopped. Mid-conversation, mid-sentence, mid-word. Stood there, mouth open, eyes empty. Doc checked. He's breathing, heart beating, reflexes work. But Williams is gone. Checked out. Left his body running while his mind went AWOL. They prop him in his bunk, feed him like a baby, wait to see if he comes back. He doesn't. The boat herself drives men mad. The sounds, constant creaking, groaning, whispering. Sailors swear she talks, tells secrets, makes promises, threatens. Old-timers say every boat has a personality. This one's schizophrenic. She saves you one day, tries to kill you the next. You develop Stockholm Syndrome with steel. Claustrophobia hits everyone eventually. Even guys who've never been claustrophobic. One day the walls are walls. Next day they're moving in. The boat shrinks. Spaces you've navigated for weeks become impossible. You can't breathe, can't move. The metal is squeezing, crushing, digesting you. Only cure is going topside, but that requires surfacing. And surfacing requires not being hunted. So you swallow the panic and pretend the boat isn't getting smaller. The repetition breaks men. Same watches, same meals, same faces, same smells. Your brain needs novelty, stimulation, change. Submarines offer none. Day 50 is identical to day 1 except you're crazier. Some men start creating variety, wearing clothes backward, speaking only in questions, walking routes that make no sense. Anything to break monotony. Religious mania spreads like flu. Atheists find God in the battery compartment. Believers lose him in the engine room. Prayer circles form. Speaking in tongues happens. One patrol, half the crew became convinced the boat was purgatory, and they were all already dead. The captain had to give a speech, proving they were alive. Nobody believed him. The suicide attempts are creative by necessity. Hard to kill yourself when everything dangerous is locked up, and you're never alone. But desperation breeds innovation. Men try to drown in the bilges. Electrocute themselves on panels. One guy tried to crawl into a torpedo tube and launch himself. The torpedo room watch caught him halfway in, feet kicking, screaming about needing to swim home. Combat makes everything worse. That controlled insanity that keeps you functional during depth charging, it leaves residue. Each attack adds a layer of crazy you can't wash off. By the 3rd patrol, everyone's got that 1,000-yard stare. By the 5th, some are looking at things 1,000 yards past reality. The corpsman becomes psychiatrist by default. He's got morphine for the violent ones, phenobarbital for the anxious, and caffeine for the catatonic. His medical training covered broken bones and burns, not broken minds. He does his best with pharmaceutical restraints and amateur psychology. Mostly, he just tries to keep the actively insane from killing the passively insane. Some boats lose whole crews to madness. Not death. Madness. They come back, technically alive, but the men who left don't return. What comes back wears their faces, answers to their names, but the original inhabitants vacated somewhere under the Pacific. Their families get strangers who look familiar. The captain pretends he's immune. Has to. Can't have the crew seeing him crack. But watch his hands during depth charging. See how he counts rivets obsessively. Notice how he talks to the boat like she's his wife. He's holding on by threads, and everyone knows it. But we pretend he's solid, because the alternative is admitting we're all led by a madman. Port psychiatrists are overwhelmed. Readjustment issues, they call it. Here's some pills. Here's a rubber room if needed. Try not to open any valves that don't exist. The Navy doesn't want to admit how many submariners go permanently around the bend. Bad for recruitment. So they're medically discharged for nervous exhaustion and forgotten. The worst part? You know it's happening. Feel your mind slipping like gears grinding, but knowledge doesn't stop it. You can't think yourself sane any more than you can think yourself oxygen. The boat takes what it wants, and what it wants is your sanity. You can give it voluntarily or have it taken. Either way, you're paying the fare. By patrol's end, everyone's a little crazy. The functional ones just hide it better. They save their breakdowns for shore leave, have their psychotic episodes in private, keep their hallucinations to themselves. Professional courtesy among the insane. This is submarine warfare's dirty secret. The boats don't just hunt ships, they hunt minds. And they're very, very good at it. The ocean pressure outside is nothing compared to the pressure inside your skull. One crushes steel, the other crushes souls. Still think you'd volunteer? You're already talking to yourself, and that's just from reading. Imagine living it. Imagine your mind fragmenting day by day, hour by hour. Imagine watching it happen and being powerless to stop it. But don't worry. By the time you're properly insane, you won't care anymore. That's the submarine service's gift to you. Madness as mercy. You're welcome. Here's a fun fact that recruitment posters skip. Submarines have the highest casualty rate of any service branch. 1 in 5 doesn't come back. 20%. In what other job is there a 20% chance you won't make it to retirement? Oh wait, you won't make it to next Tuesday. Everyone wants to kill submarines. It's not personal. Well, maybe it's a little personal after you've sunk their supply ships. But mostly it's practical. Submarines are dangerous, so everyone develops ways to murder you. Surface ships, aircraft, mines, other submarines, hell, even fishing nets have killed boats. You're not just hunted. You're the most popular target in the ocean. The Japanese have a special hatred for submarines. Understandable since you're starving their islands. They dedicate entire task forces to hunting you. Destroyer squadrons that do nothing but look for subs. Aircraft that fly patterns designed to catch you on the surface. They'd hunt you with trained dolphins if they could figure out how. Radar changes everything. Used to be you could surface at night relatively safely. Darkness was your friend. Now, that destroyer 10 miles away sees you on his scope. Looks like a green blip that says, "Kill me." Radar detectors help, but it's an arms race. They get better radar, you get better detectors, they get better radar. Eventually someone wins. Usually not you. Aircraft are the worst. You're on the surface, charging batteries, sun feels good. Maybe the captain let some guys topside for a few minutes of vitamin D. Then the lookout screams, "Plane! Starboard quarter! Diving!" Now it's a race. Can you get under before he drops eggs? The klaxon screams. Men pour down the hatch like water. That last lookout is riding the periscope shears down, slamming the hatch as the water reaches his chest. You're at 15 feet when the bombs hit. Aerial bombs work underwater. Surprise! They don't need direct hits. Water transmits shockwaves beautifully. A near miss crushes hull plating, pops rivets, breaks everything delicate, which on a submarine is everything. You go deep, trailing oil, leaving a surface slick that says, "Submarine here, still alive, please finish job." The pilot radios your position. Every enemy ship within 50 miles converges. You're the fox, they're the hounds, and you're leaking blood. The oil slick follows you like a neon sign. Damage control tries stopping the leak, but oil finds ways. It always finds ways. Friendly fire isn't. American aircraft bomb American subs regularly. You're running on the surface, flying the biggest American flag you can find, sending recognition signals. Doesn't matter. To a pilot at 5,000 feet, all subs look the same. Those recognition signals? He never learned them. That flag could be a trick. Better safe than sorry. Bombs away. The captain screams into the radio as you crash dive. "Friendly submarine! Friendly!" The bombs bracket you anyway. If you survive, there's paperwork. Apologies. Regrettable incident? Mistaken identity. Fog of war. Your buddies are just as dead from friendly bombs as enemy ones. Mines are patient killers. They wait, anchored or floating, contact or magnetic, dumb or smart. Hit one and it doesn't matter who placed it or when. The explosion tears open your pressure hole like tissue paper. You have seconds to seal compartments, isolate flooding, pray the boat holds together long enough to surface. Usually doesn't. Magnetic mines are especially evil. They sense your hull's magnetic field, explode underneath. The blast breaks your keel, the boat's backbone. She splits in half. Both halves flood. You have maybe 30 seconds to escape a compartment that's becoming your tomb. The escape hatches are designed for stationary boats in port, not combat flooding. Good luck with that. Other submarines hunt you too. Enemy boats playing the same game you are. Except now you're both blind, deaf, and armed. Like knife fighting in a dark closet where the closet is the ocean and the knives are torpedoes. You hear them sometimes. Another boat screws in the distance. Are they friendly? Enemy? No way to know without risking everything. The worst submarine engagement is when you both fire simultaneously. Your torpedoes pass each other like homicidal trains. You're tracking your fish, hoping for a hit, when sonar screams, "Torpedo in the water!" Bearing 180. Coming straight at you. Now it's evasion time. Full speed, hard turns, release noisemakers. Pray their torpedo is dumber than their submarine. You hear it coming. High-pitched whine, getting louder. The screws sound angry. Personally angry. Like this specific torpedo hates you specifically. Time slows. The torpedo passes down your port side, so close the hull vibrates from its wake. Miss, this time. The life expectancy statistics are classified, but everyone knows them anyway. Average submarine lasts 6 patrols. You're on patrol 4. Do the math. The boats that make it past 10 patrols are legends, crewed by ghosts who don't know they're dead yet. You keep track of boats that don't come back. Wahoo, overdue, presumed lost. Tang, sunk by her own torpedo. Harder, all hands lost. Each name was full of guys you knew, shared drinks with, borrowed cigarettes from. Now they're eternal patrol, which is Navy speak for dead on the bottom. The ocean doesn't care about statistics, doesn't respect experience. Plenty of veteran boats go down on routine patrols. Hit a mine laid last year. Caught by a lucky pilot. Mechanical failure at the wrong time. The ocean is patient, it'll wait for your mistake, and you will make one. Everyone does eventually. Port isn't safe either. Enemy agents map submarine schedules. Air raids target sub-bases. Saboteurs love submarines. So many ways to cause accidents. That new repair worker could be anyone. That part that fails next patrol? Maybe it was helped. Paranoia isn't paranoia when they really are trying to kill you. Even success makes you a target. Sink too many ships, and Tokyo rose and names you specifically. Congratulations, you're famous, and every enemy captain wants to be the one who bags you. You've gone from random target to priority. The hunter becomes the especially hunted. Some boats develop reputations as lucky. Survive impossible situations. Make it home when they shouldn't. Crews fight to get assigned to them. Other boats are cursed. Everything breaks. Every patrol is disaster. Crews transfer out, fake illnesses, do anything to avoid sailing. Superstition? Maybe. But maybe the boat knows she's doomed and is trying to warn you. The target zone isn't geographic. It's everywhere. Every ocean, every depth, every moment. You're a target when surfaced, when submerged, when attacking, when fleeing. The crosshairs follow you home, into port, into dry dock. You're never not a target. This is the submarine truth. You're not sailors. You're targets that haven't been hit yet. Every patrol that returns is a small miracle. Every man who walks off the boat has cheated death dozens of times, but death is patient. Death has plenty of ammunition. Death owns the casino, and the house always wins eventually. The captain posts the scoreboard. Ships sunk versus boats lost. We're winning technically. Trading one submarine for multiple merchants is good math. Unless you're on the submarine, then the math gets very personal. One boat equals 80 men. Your friends, your shipmates, you. But you keep going out. Keep diving. Keep hunting. Because what else is there? Transfer to surface fleet. They die too, just differently. Go home? Not until the war ends. So you climb aboard your steel coffin, know the odds, and pretend this patrol will be different. It won't be. The only question is whether you'll come back to not be different another time. 20% don't, which means 80% do. Focus on that. It's the only math that keeps you functional. The only lie that gets you through the hatch. The only hope in the target zone. Let's talk about how submarines die. Not the clean, heroic deaths from movies. The real ones. The mechanical failures, human errors, and acts of God that turn boats into tombs. Every submariner knows these stories. We trade them like ghost stories. Except the ghosts are real, and the stories are why we check valves 3 times. The USS Squalus, 1939. Routine test dive off New Hampshire. Main induction valve fails to close. That's the big air intake for the diesels. Boats diving with a hole to the ocean. Water floods the aft compartments. 26 men trapped, drowned. The forward compartments survive. Barely. 33 men sit on the bottom for 39 hours, waiting. Momps and lungs save some. Not all. We all know about Squalus. We all check that valve. Battery explosions are special nightmares. Those massive lead-acid batteries that power everything underwater, they produce hydrogen when charging. Hydrogen plus spark equals finding pieces of submarine scattered across the ocean floor. Ventilation is critical. One blocked vent, one accumulation of gas, one tiny spark. The boat becomes a bomb. The explosion isn't clean. Battery acid everywhere. Chlorine gas if the acid hits seawater. Fire in an enclosed space with no escape. The heat melts everything. The gas poisons everyone. The flooding finishes what the explosion started. You have minutes, maybe seconds, to contain it. Usually you don't. The USS Tang sank by her own torpedo. Last fish of the patrol. Something goes wrong. Circular run. The torpedo curves back like a boomerang made of death. They see it coming. Try to evade. Can't. It hits the stern. Boat goes down in seconds. 9 men make it out the escape trunk. 78 don't. Killed by their own weapon. The ocean appreciates irony. Flooding casualties happen fast. Faster than you can think. A valve fails. A weld cracks. A depth charge loosens something critical. Water at pressure is like a horizontal waterfall. Hits with the force of a freight train. Men get pinned against bulkheads, crushed by the force. Can't move, can't breathe, can't scream. The watertight doors save compartments, not men. Boats flooding aft. You slam the hatch, dog it tight. Men on the other side pound on the metal. You hear them screaming. But opening that hatch sinks the boat, kills everyone. So you stand there, listening to friends drown, because the math is simple. Few die or all die, choose. Crush depth is theoretical until it isn't. Every boat has a number. 400 feet, 500 feet, maybe 600 for the new ones. Past that, physics wins. The hull doesn't fail gradually. One moment holding, next moment not. The implosion is instant, faster than nerve conduction. You don't have time to know you're dead. Small mercy, but sometimes boats go deep, slowly. Uncontrolled descent. Diving planes jammed. Ballast tanks won't blow. Something's wrong, and you're sinking. The depth gauge spins. 300, 400, 500. Past test depth now. The hull makes new sounds. Creaking becomes cracking. Rivets start to fail. Not all at once. One here, one there. Machine gun bullets of water. 600 feet. The hull compresses visibly. You can see the steel bending inward. Everything creaks. Men pray who've never prayed. Some write last letters they'll never send. Others just stare at the depth gauge, watching death approach 1 foot at a time. 700 feet. Something big fails. A hull plate buckles. The sound is indescribable. Like God crumpling paper, if paper was steel and you were inside. Water doesn't pour in. It explodes in. The compartment floods in seconds. Men don't drown. They're crushed by the pressure wave. The lucky ones. Fire on a submarine is everyone's nightmare. Where do you run in a steel tube? The smoke has nowhere to go. You're breathing poison in minutes. The heat builds. Metal gets hot enough to burn flesh. Electrical fires are worst. Toxic smoke. Impossible to extinguish. Spreading through cable runs you can't reach. The firefighting equipment is basic. CO2 extinguishers that displace oxygen you already don't have enough of. Water that shorts out more systems. Sand that turns to mud. Sometimes the only option is to seal the compartment and let it burn out. Let everything in there burn out. Everyone. Chlorine gas deserves its own horror. Battery acid meets seawater. The reaction is instant. Green-yellow gas that burned everything it touches. Lungs, eyes, skin. Gas masks help if you get them on in time. If they work, if you have enough, the gas is heavy, settles in the bilges, men collapse trying to escape, stack up at the ladders, bottom ones die first, top ones die on top of them. Torpedo tube accidents are gruesomely personal. Outer door opens while inner door is open. Man doing maintenance gets sucked into a tube as ocean tries to enter. He blocks the water temporarily. Living plug. Can't pull him out. Water pressure. Can't leave him. Boat flooding. Solution is mathematical. Horrible. Close the outer door. What's left isn't human anymore. The escape equipment is a joke. Momsen lungs. Basically rebreathers that might get you to the surface. If you're shallow. If you don't panic. If you can flood the escape trunk properly. If the outer hatch opens. If. Most boats that go down take everyone with them. The escape equipment is psychology, not technology. When boats simply disappear, imagination fills the void. Overdue, presumed, lost. What happens? Mine, depth charged, mechanical failure, nobody knows. They just didn't come back. Somewhere on the bottom, 80 men in a steel tomb. Did they die fast or slow? Did they have time to know? The not knowing is almost worse. The ritual is always the same, boats overdue. Maybe they're just running silent. Radio broken? Give them time. Days pass, hope fades. Finally, the announcement. Overdue and presumed lost with all hands. Name added to the list. Families notified. Replacement boat takes her patrol area. Ocean doesn't care. Some boats are found decades later. Explorers with robots find them scattered across the bottom. The hull crushed, blown open, sometimes intact, but flooded. Bodies still at their stations. Doing their jobs until the end. The boats become war graves. Don't disturb. Let them sleep. We carry these stories. Each disaster is a lesson. Check this valve, because squalus. Ventilate batteries, because S39. Watch for circular runs, because tang. And the ghosts teach through their dying. Every procedure written in blood. Every safety rule has a boat's name attached. But the ocean has infinite ways to kill you. You can't prepare for them all. Can't prevent them all. So you do the maintenance, follow procedures, check and double check. Then you climb aboard anyway, because someone has to. Because the war needs submarines. Because you're young and stupid and brave. The disasters wait patiently. In failed welds, in tired metal, in the one procedure someone forgets. Every boat that sails or carries potential catastrophe. Most come back. Some don't. You won't know which until it happens. This is submarine service reality. You're not just fighting the enemy, you're fighting entropy, metallurgy, and probability. The boat that keeps you alive is also equipped with dozens of ways to kill you. Your home is pre-disastered. Just add water, or fire, or pressure, or time. Still want to volunteer? You're already checking escape routes that don't exist. Already wondering which disaster gets your boat. Already hearing the hull crack. But don't worry. When it happens, it'll probably be fast. Probably. The slow ones are worse. Trust me on that. You made it back. Congratulations. You're one of the lucky 80% who gets to stumble off the boat, looking like an extra from a zombie film. Pale as death, skinny as a camp survivor, eyes that can't focus on anything farther than 30 feet away. Time for R&R, submarine style, which is just regular misery with fresh air. The boat limps into Pearl Harbor, or Fremantle, or wherever sub-base command decided was safe this week. First thing you notice? Colours. The world has colours. That's not grey. That's blue sky. Green trees. Red flowers. Your eyes water trying to process it all. Some guys have to look away. overwhelmed by anything not steel grey. The smell of land hits next. Flowers, grass, cooking food that isn't canned, people who've bathed recently. It's too much. Your nose, accustomed to diesel and death, rebels. Everything smells wrong because it doesn't smell like Submarine. You actually miss the stench. Stockholm Syndrome with odour. Walking on solid ground is an adventure. Your inner ear, trained for constant motion, doesn't understand stillness. The ground feels like it's rolling. You walk like a drunk, weaving and stumbling. Civilians stare. Let them. They don't know you've forgotten how land works. First priority, medical check. The doc who isn't trapped in a steel tube with you runs through a list. Vitamin deficiencies? Check. Fungal infections? Check. Dental problems? Check. Psychological issues? I'm fine, you lie. He doesn't believe you but marks it down anyway. The Navy needs bodies more than healthy bodies. Decontamination is necessary. That submarine funk doesn't wash off easy. Multiple showers with water hot enough to parboil lobster. Scrubbing until skin comes off. The funk remains. It's in your pores, your soul. Girlfriends will complain about the smell. You can't detect it anymore. Part of you now. The first real meal is religious experience crossed with digestive disaster. Fresh vegetables. Meat that had parents. Bread that bends. You gorge, body desperate for nutrients. Then spend the next day clutching your stomach as your system remembers how to process real food. Worth it. Even the cramping is worth it. Sleep in a real bed should be paradise. It's not. Too soft. Too quiet. Too much space. You end up on the floor, back against the wall, falling asleep to remembered engine noise. Some guys record submarine sounds to play at night. The hotel staff thinks you're insane. They're not wrong. Liberty in Australia is legendary. The Aussies love submarine sailors. Maybe because we're killing Japanese who want to invade them. Maybe because we're so pathetically grateful for kindness. Either way, drinks are free, girls are friendly, and everyone wants to hear war stories. You tell the clean ones, the dirty ones stay locked inside. But you can't relate to civilians. They complain about rationing while you've been eating diesel-flavoured beans. They worry about blackouts while you've been living in eternal fluorescent twilight. Pretty girl asks what it's like. How do you explain? Well, Sarah, imagine being buried alive in a sewer pipe while people try to explode you. Conversation killer. The other submariners understand. You find them in specific bars, specific corners, all with the same 1,000-yard stare and pallor. Don't need to talk. Just drink in companionable silence, everyone knowing everyone else knows. The surface sailors avoid you. You're bad luck, they say. Death boats. They're not wrong. Fight break out regularly. Submarine crews are tight. Insult one, fight all. Surface sailors resent your pay. 50% hazard bonus. Your reputation? Silent service sounds romantic to girls. Your survival? How are you not dead? Fights are brutal, quick. Usually end with MPs and brig time. Worth it to hit something that isn't a depth charge. The submarine rest camps are attempts at therapy. Send the crew somewhere nice, let them decompress. Doesn't work. You can't decompress from that pressure. Guys sit on beaches, staring at the ocean like it owes them something, or owes them someone. The ocean doesn't pay debts. 2 weeks pass fast when you're trying to remember how to be human. Just when solid food stops hurting, when sleep comes easier, when the shaking almost stops. Time to go back. New patrol orders, same ocean, same hunters, same steel coffin with new paint. The boat's been repaired. Damage from last patrol patched, painted over, hidden. She looks fresh. but you can see the scars if you know where to look. That new welding where the depth charge split the hull. That replaced section where the battery exploded. She's a Frankenstein monster of original parts and trauma repairs. Loading stores is organised chaos. Food, torpedoes, spare parts, mail, everything needed for 2 months of underwater hell. The fresh vegetables look so optimistic. The crew looks so pessimistic. Everyone knows what happens to hope underwater. It rots like everything else. New crew members report aboard. Fresh-faced kids who volunteered because submarines sound exciting. You want to grab them, shake them, scream, run. Instead you show them their bunks, torpedo racks, explain the head, death trap, demonstrate damage control, prayer with procedures. Their enthusiasm hurts to watch. The night before sailing is always the same. Too much drinking. Desperate connections with girls who know you might not come back. Letters written but not sent. Calls home where you say everything except what matters. Yeah, Mum, I'm fine. Food's good. Boat's safe. Lies wrapped in love. Some guys crack before sailing. Just don't show up. Go AWOL. Hide in the hills. MPs find them eventually. Court-martial follows. But everyone understands. That self-preservation instinct finally overrode the training. Smart, really. Smarter than the rest of us climbing back aboard. The veterans have rituals, lucky coins, pictures, letters tucked in specific places. Not superstition, tradition. That photo of Betty kept you alive last patrol. Moving it might break the spell. So Betty stays taped inside your locker, fading more each patrol, like your chances. Morning of departure. Hangover competing with dread. The boat waits at the pier, hatches open like mouths. Loading last-minute supplies. Ice cream for the freezer. Might last a week if we're lucky. Mail bag full of letters you'll read when the despair gets too thick. Fresh air in the tanks. Won't last a day but psychologically important. The lines cast off. Engines rumble to life. That familiar vibration through the deck. Your body recognises it, starts adjusting. Pupils dilating for artificial light. Nose preparing for assault. Ears tuning to machinery frequencies. You're becoming submarine creature again. Last view of land. Green hills, white buildings, normal people doing normal things. You want to remember it clearly, but it's already fading, becoming unreal. The hatch closes with finality. Clang. The sound of trading sky for steel. Trading life for existence. Dive! Dive! Down we go. Away from sun, air, sanity. Back to our proper environment. The boat settles at periscope depth, headed for patrol area. 2 months of hell ahead, but familiar hell. The kind you know how to survive. Maybe. This is the cycle. Patrol, survive, surface, pretend to recover, repeat. Each return to port is temporary reprieve. Each departure is voluntary re-imprisonment. You could refuse, request transfer, fake insanity, or just stop faking the sanity. But you don't, because the boat needs you. The crew needs you. The war needs you. And honestly, part of you needs this. The simplicity of submarine life. The clarity of purpose. Kill or be killed. No grey areas except the boat herself. So you go back, again and again, until you don't. But that's future worry. Right now, you're diving. Going home to hell. They don't come back. That's how it starts. Always the same. Boat's due Tuesday. Tuesday passes. Wednesday. Thursday. Radio silence could mean damaged antenna. Could mean running from destroyers. Could mean by Friday everyone knows, but nobody says it. The other boats in port get quiet. Crews stop making eye contact. We all know the math. Overdue by 3 days means probably. By 5 days means certainly. By 7 days means stop hoping and start mourning. The USS Wahoo, best boat in the fleet. Dudley Mush Morton commanding. Sank more tonnage than any 3 boats combined. Invincible, we thought. October 1943, she heads out for the Sea of Japan. Never comes back, just gone. Somewhere in those cold waters, 80 men became statistics. The waiting families don't know yet. Official policy is wait 2 weeks before notification. 2 weeks of wives checking mail. Children asking when daddy's ship returns. Mothers feeling that cold certainty in their bones, but pushing it down. The Navy knows. The crews know. The families know, but don't know. Schrodinger's sailors are dead and alive until the telegram arrives. The Navy Department deeply regrets to inform you. That's how dreams die. 1 telegram at a time. 80 telegrams for 1 boat. 80 families learning their man is missing and presumed lost. Not dead. Can't say dead without bodies. Missing sounds temporary. Lost sounds like they might be found. Language soft-washing the hardest truth. We gather intelligence when we can. Radio intercepts, coast watchers, sometimes Japanese announcements. They love announcing submarine kills. Proof of their victory. We pass their propaganda for truth, trying to figure out which boat they got. Sometimes we know, sometimes we never know. The Harder goes down in August 44. Depth charged off Luzon. Japanese destroyer Hibiki claims the kill. We know because they brag about it on radio. Commander Sam Dealey and 78 men gone in minutes. The Hibiki's crew probably celebrated. Sack it all around for sinking the famous Harder. Just doing their job, like we do ours. Some boats vanish without explanation. The Grunion disappears near the Aleutians. No enemy claims, no distress signals, no clues. 70 men erased like pencil marks. Decades later they'll find her, crushed on the bottom, but in 1942 she just stops existing. Families spend lifetimes wondering. The rumours spread through the fleet. Maybe they hit a mine. Maybe mechanical failure. Maybe friendly fire. God knows we've been bombed by our own planes enough. Maybe. The not knowing eats at crews. Every patrol could end in mystery. Your family getting presumed lost, with no story, no closure, no grave to visit. When boats are confirmed lost, we hold memorial services. Gather on another boat's deck, say words that don't help, drop wreaths that float away. The chaplain reads the same verses. They that go down to the sea in ships. The words become meaningless through repetition. How many times can you say goodbye to friends before goodbye loses meaning? The personal effects get boxed up. Lockers emptied, letters collected, photos carefully wrapped. Some poor ensign gets the job of inventory. 1 wallet, brown leather. 2 photos. Letter from... Can't read it through the tears. These boxes go to families who'll treasure them, because they're all that's left. The replacement boat arrives. Same class, different number. Like the Navy's playing Submarine, mad at libs. Lost the Wahoo. Here's the whale. Lost the Harder. Try the Haddock. Same mission, same routes, same death waiting. The new crew knows they're replacing ghosts. Sleeps in dead men's bunks. Uses dead men's tools. Sails dead men's patrol routes. Some boats seem cursed. Multiple crews lost on the same vessel. The USS S-36 grounds on a reef. Crew survives, but boat's gone. Her replacement, sailing the same waters, hits a mine. Then her replacement vanishes without trace. Coincidence? Bad luck? The ocean claiming what it's owed? Sailors aren't supposed to be superstitious, but the Japanese have their own eternal patrols. We sink their subs too. I-173 goes down with all hands. RO-106 disappears. Same telegrams in Japanese. Same grieving families. Same empty places at dinner tables. The enemy mourns too, though we try not to think about it. Easier to sink ships when you don't imagine the aftermath. Late in the war, the losses mount. Desperation makes everyone reckless. Boats push into shallow waters, heavily mined areas, under aircraft umbrellas. The Tang goes down to her own torpedo. The Tullaby same way. Killed by their own weapons. The irony would be funny if it wasn't your friends dying. The statistics get classified. Can't have civilians knowing 1 in 5 boats doesn't return. Bad for morale. Bad for recruiting. The real numbers whisper through the fleet anyway. Submarine service, 20% casualty rate, highest of any branch. We volunteered for this. We re-volunteer every patrol. Some families never accept it. Spend decades hoping their sailors on some island. Amnesiac but alive. POW camps liberated. No submariners found. War ends. Lists finalised. Still they hope. Maybe the records are wrong. Maybe he'll walk through that door. Maybe as a cruel word that sounds like hope. The memorials go up eventually. Walls of names, eternal patrol monuments, brass plaques tarnishing in salt air. Tourists read them, take pictures, move on. For them it's history. For us it's roll call of the missing. Friends who got permanently transferred to the ocean floor. The boats are still down there. Tombs with numbers instead of names. USS this, SS that. Steel coffins in the deep, slowly dissolving. Fish swim through compartments where men lived. Coral grows on periscopes that track targets, nature reclaiming what was always hers. Sometimes they're found. Deep sea explorers with robots and reverence. Video of crushed hulls, scattered debris, silence that screams. The Navy declares them war graves. Don't disturb. Let them rest, as if they had a choice. As if the ocean asks permission. We grow old, those who made it. Gather at reunions that get smaller each year. Tell the same stories. Remember the boats that didn't return. Raise glasses to empty chairs. The eternal patrol grows as time claims survivors. Fair in a way. They went first, but we all joined eventually. The young sailors don't understand. How could they? They have nuclear boats, satellite navigation, rescue submarines. Luxuries we couldn't imagine. We had iron men in iron boats. They have better boats. The men? Time will tell. But late at night, when arthritis reminds us of cold watches and pressure changes, we think about them. The boats on eternal patrol. Wonder if they knew. Was the time to be afraid? To say goodbye? Or was it instant? Here then gone. We hope for instant. Fear it wasn't. The ocean keeps her secrets. Boats lost in trenches miles deep. Crushed hulls in darkness no light has touched. 80 men per boat, young men who volunteered to fight underwater and got their wish permanently. They're still down there. Still at their stations. Still on patrol. Just eternal now. Forever young, forever on watch, forever part of the sea they sailed. We got old. They didn't. Lucky? Depends who you ask. Ask them, but they won't answer. The eternal patrol is silent. That's the point. So here we are, at the end of our underwater nightmare. You've followed some poor volunteer through the hatch, down into hell with periscopes, and if you made it this far without developing claustrophobia, you're tougher than most. The silent service, they called it. Silent because dead men tell no tales, and because the ones who survived didn't want to talk about it. They were volunteers, every last one. Think about that. While others got drafted into foxholes and cockpits, these maniacs raised their hands and said, "I'll take the job where the office can implode." 20-year-olds making decisions that would terrify grown men today. But they were different then. Or maybe the war made them different. Or maybe they were just young and immortal until they weren't. 1 in 5 didn't come back. 20% casualty rate. In what other job do you have an 80% chance of survival, and consider those good odds? But they kept volunteering, kept climbing through those hatches, kept diving into darkness armed with torpedoes and denial. Why? Adventure, patriotism, the extra 50% hazard pay, all of the above and none of it. They volunteered because someone had to, because the war needed won and submarines were winning it, because their friends were aboard and you don't abandon friends, because after your first patrol the boat owned you anyway. The silent service sank more Japanese tonnage than any other branch. Starved islands, disrupted supply lines, turned the Empire's ocean into a submarine killing ground. The atomic bombs ended the war, but submarines made sure Japan had nothing left to fight with. Victory through strangulation, one merchant ship at a time. But the price. Jesus, the price. Those who came back were different. You can't spend months in a steel coffin without it changing you. They jumped at backfiring cars, slept with lights on, couldn't stand in closed spaces, or couldn't stand open ones. They drank too much, loved too hard, died too young from bodies worn out by pressure and stress and recycled air. They didn't talk about it. How do you explain the smell to someone who's never been there? How do you describe depth charges to someone who thinks bombs explode in air? How do you tell your wife you preferred the clarity of kill or be killed to the complexity of civilian life? You don't. You lock it down deep, deeper than any submarine dove, and let it eat you from inside. And the boats are museums now. USS Bowfin, USS Pampanito, others preserved for tourists, clean, painted, safe. Families walk through taking selfies where men died. Children play in bunks where sailors screamed through nightmares. The smell is gone, that particular perfume of diesel and despair. The fear is gone. What's left is steel and statistics. But stand in those museums at closing time, when the tourists leave and shadows grow long. Listen. You'll hear them. The engines that aren't running, the depth charges that aren't falling, the voices of boys who never grew old. They're still there, standing watch, waiting for the all clear that came too late. The last World War II submariners are leaving us now. Men in their 90s, backs bent from years of crouching in steel tubes, eyes still scanning horizons for threats. When they go, the first-hand knowledge goes with them. What's left will be history books and documentaries that get the facts right but miss the feeling. They were ordinary men who did extraordinary things in extraordinarily horrible conditions. Not because they were heroes, though they were, but because it was the jobs, and the job needed doing. They fought a war from inside sewage pipes, breathing poison, eating garbage, waiting for the ocean to claim them. And they won. The submarine force was 2% of the Navy, but sank 30% of Japan's Navy and 60% of her merchant marine. Those are numbers. Behind each percentage point are boats full of kids who learned to live without sun, air, or hope of rescue. Who made the ocean a weapon despite the ocean trying to kill them every second of every day. Modern submarines are spaceships compared to those diesel boats. Nuclear power, unlimited air, computers that think faster than humans. The boats got better. The job got easier. But the courage required? That's the same. still take a special kind of crazy to lock yourself in a tube and sink on purpose. Still takes iron nerves to hear dive, 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 and trust the boat will surface again. The silent service remains silent. Veterans don't brag about their patrols, don't wear their dolphins prominently, don't tell war stories at parties. What's to tell? I spent 2 months in a sewer pipe trying not to die. I haven't slept through the night since 1943. I still check toilets for 11-step procedures. Nobody wants to hear that, but they remember every boat lost, every friend who didn't come back, every close call that could have been the end. They remember the smell, the fear, the weird joy of surfacing after weeks underwater. They remember being 20 and immortal until proven otherwise. They remember volunteering for hell and finding out hell was just the beginning. They called it the silent service because submarines operated in secrecy. But it's silent for other reasons. Silent because the survivors don't talk about it. Silent because the dead can't. Silent because some experiences don't translate to words. How do you explain choosing to live in a death trap? How do you describe the bonds between men who breathe each other's fear for months? You don't. You stay silent. So tonight, in your comfortable bed, in your room with windows and air that doesn't smell like diesel, maybe think about them. The volunteers who went under the sea in steel coffins, who spent the war in spaces smaller than your bathroom, who came back different or didn't come back at all. They weren't superhuman. That's the point. They were exactly as human as you, just pushed past every limit humans have. They broke in all the ways you'd break, then kept going because stopping meant everyone died. They were scared kids doing an impossible job in impossible conditions and somehow making it work. The boats are gone now. Scrapped, sunk as targets, turned into razor blades and washing machines. A few preserved as monuments to insanity disguised as duty. The men are going too, one last dive at a time. Soon it'll just be words on pages, pictures in books, statistics in histories. But for now, a few remain. Men who remember when submarines were diesel death traps, and somehow that was better than letting fascism win. Men who know what claustrophobia really means. Men who can't explain why they miss it. The boat, the crew, even the fear. Because at least then they knew who they were and what mattered. Submariners, the silent service. Volunteers for hell, citizens of nowhere, brothers in steel and silence. They won their war from inside the very thing trying to kill them. They came home to a world that couldn't understand and didn't try. They lived with memories that wake them at night, 60 years later, still checking the depth gauge, still hearing the diving alarm. Heroes? They'll laugh at that word. They were just doing the job. But what a job. What a price. What a generation of iron men who learned to live without air, fight without hope, and win without glory. The silent service. Silent then. Silent now. Silent forever. But down in the deep, if you listen carefully, you can still hear them. The engines running. The hull creaking. The young voices calling readings, making jokes, staying human in inhuman places. They're still down there, the ones who didn't come back. Still on patrol, still keeping watch. Eternal patrol, they call it. Sounds peaceful. It's not. It's young men, frozen in time, forever 20, forever brave, forever wondering if the next depth charge is the one. But they volunteered for it. Everyone. And they'd do it again. That's the real mystery of the silent service. Not how they survived. Many didn't. Not how they won. Superior tactics and desperate courage. But why they'd do it again, knowing what they know. Why veterans speak fondly of the worst experience of their lives. Why they miss boats that tried to kill them daily. Because for 2 months at a time, in a steel tube under the ocean, they knew exactly who they were and what mattered. Life stripped to essentials. Breathe, fight, survive, protect your shipmates. Everything else was luxury. They found clarity in claustrophobia, purpose in persecution, brotherhood in burial at sea, the silent service, where boys became men by becoming slightly less than human, where victory meant simply coming back, where the real enemy was the ocean and everything else was just details. They volunteered for this, every last one. Think about that next time you complain about your job. At least your office has windows. At least your workplace can't implode. At least you can quit without drowning. The silent service couldn't, wouldn't, didn't. And that made all the difference. Silent heroes of a loud war. Forever young, forever brave, forever silent. The volunteers who saved the world from inside their own coffins. Remember them. They've earned that much. They've earned so much more. But memory is all we can give them now. Memory and respect for the boys who went under the sea, and sometimes didn't come back up. The silent service. The deepest grave is silent. So are heroes. Both by choice. Both forever.